wasn't here last week.
Neither of you were here last week.
Actually, none of us were here last week.
I turned up for the second hour of it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Made the effort.
Yeah. I was at Leopardstown, and we had Neil Tracy in the week before, had we?
Yeah.
So we're back, lads.
We're back.
It's good to have Dan got a haircut, especially for the occasion.
I did, yeah.
We're live on all our social channels if you want to tune in and see Dan.
Wasted on radio listeners.
Very similar to previous haircuts, I would describe it.
Yeah, it's the sort of, I'm just not that creative.
Just could have gone with Johnny. Johnny's hair has evolved over the years. He's had different phases. Johnny's hair is going to enter a phase soon, I fear, where questions are going to start being asked.
To go down the transplant route or something.
Or have you been down the transplant route?
No.
Would you go down the transplant route?
Raf Cretaro, he did a good job, didn't he?
Johnny's got a midlife crisis in him without a shadow of a doubt. It's always been.
I'm on an ad,
it's short odds on. If
I'm on an ad like Raf, where he's like, it's great to be able to feel through your hair again. I've probably gone through that crisis, But
you get paid for that, I wonder.
Well, I mean,
just get a free.
I'd say you just get a free job.
I would hope that he put in some kind of stipulation on appearance, like use sort of like royalties, effectively, over the years, because that was rolled out thousands of times. That ad, like ridiculously amount of times.
If you're listening in, Raf, let us know. Was there?
Did you get a good deal? And if not, maybe this is a recurring issue where it's a source of pain in his household.
My barber in Fatima, he kind of puts his head out the window on quiet days. So if you're walking along and he looks at you and he thinks you need a haircut, he just starts roaring at you and says, "Johnny, it's your turn. Come on!" And you end up just going in and getting your haircut. He's one of those guys that gets to know your name straight away. So you kind of have a relationship with him, but he's a good businessman. He's a good barber as well.
Part of me suspects that barber doesn't do that for most people. It's just that Johnny's the most easily led man in the world.
It's like,
I don't get my haircut very often. It'd be like every couple of months job,
Well,
some lads are every 3 weeks.
I can see why that is, to be fair.
What are you, Dan, every month?
5 weeks would be a good time.
5 weeks? Oh, yeah, no, I'd let it go a couple of months now.
Oh, would you?
Yeah. And then short, let it grow a couple of months. It's good chat, though.
Yeah, this is stimulating
53106 is the text number if you want to get
How
in
often
touch.
do you get your haircut?
How often do you get your haircut? Do you know a barber in Fatima who just randomly shouts at you out the window trying to get some business?
Should Johnny get a hair transplant?
One of the thriving businesses in Fatima.
Should Johnny get a hair transplant
could become a more pertinent question in around 18 months' time.
Exactly. So we were talking about Raf Cretaro money, and League of Ireland money is going to be a topic this afternoon because Daniel McDonnell has done some journalism and has a very interesting article in the Irish Independent, which we will get into, around the money surrounding the League of Ireland.
Well, yeah, there's obviously a big debate ongoing, which probably is in the shadow of the broader FAI year. Like, decisions have to be probably made in the next couple of months about the direction of the league, and there have been some questions that have been persistently asked about, well, what are the sponsorship deals worth? Is there a TV deal? How much does the league cost? There was always that sort of suspicion between the clubs and the FAI. So, yeah, managed to probably get some of those figures out there now. So
we'll talk about that shortly. We will obviously keep a close eye on all the days. Live football as well. Just the 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League. We'll bring you the goals as they come in. Burnley up against Norwich City. We were having some technical issues, I think, at Turf Moor, so we didn't get to bring you the Burnley team. But from an Irish point of view, the interesting angle is that Jeff Hendrick is back in Burnley's starting 11, starting on the right of a 4-man midfield, and Robbie Brady among the substitutes for Burnley, as is Kevin Long. So good news for
Hendrick. Well, I mean, it was a terrific strike against Brighton, and Mick McCarthy did speak about, Hendrick, we wouldn't necessarily speak about Hendrick. Like, you always think of James McLean being super fit, but McCarthy seemed to speak about Hendrick in really positive terms, that he's got, he keeps himself in really good shape and he's been doing some extra work. So, yeah, he's played himself back, and he's in the last year of his contract. See, that's the thing about Hendrick, that this is probably the subplot to his not playing situation, that his future is possibly up in the air a small bit. We've seen Callum O'Dowda finally sign a new contract to Bristol City, and the manager this week speaking about him in different terms now, because he's back on board, and maybe with Hendrick that might be that's something that's just running along in the background there with his future.
Lots of Irish interest as well, and remember, if you get an Irish goal, you'll soon know about it.
Was there one last week?
There was.
Yeah,
Jeff Hendrick.
Oh, it was the Hendrick one,
Yeah, so we've had 2 now.
How did you handle it? Did you
got very excited, I won't lie. Lost the run of myself.
And how did the panellists, Tommy Martin was in, wasn't he?
Tommy was in, yeah. No, the lads were aware. Everybody involved in football in Ireland is very aware of this.
It's good that Sheffield United they're not the most prestigious club, so they're playing a lot of 3 o'clock Saturday games. So, our chances of being involved in that sort of, that joy are high.
Callum Robinson, we're relying on you. So Everton are at home to Sheffield United. The other game is between Manchester City and Watford. David Silva put Manchester City in front inside the opening minute, and there's been another goal at the Etihad. Let's hear from Darren Stanich.
Manchester City 2, Watford 0. Manchester City doubling their lead. Sergio Aguero converting a penalty, right-footed, sent Ben Foster the wrong way. Foster it was who conceded the penalty. He brought down Mahrez inside the penalty area. Referee pointed to the spot. It's converted by Aguero. City 2, Watford 0.
Yeah, so no chance of an upset there, City, after that defeat to Norwich starting the day. 5 points behind Liverpool. If you missed it, Leicester came from behind earlier today to beat Spurs by 2-1. It means Spurs haven't won away from home in the Premier League in almost 8 months now, while Leicester are up to second. A very entertaining game where VAR was very much to the forefront for an offside that would have put Tottenham 2 up. They pulled it back. It was one of Johnny's manufactured hairs, but offside.
Yeah, I saw the still image of it. Like, it does kind of bring the whole thing into a little bit of doubt. I mean, do you really need to be that precise? When there's a margin of error as well, isn't there a margin of error of a certain amount of centimetres, something like that?
No, there is no margin of error. The margin of error is that, so the rate that the picture is shown in can slightly move.
Right.
Now it's like incredibly technical, but the way whatever comes up in VAR, there's no wiggle room at all. If it's a millimetre, it's offside. But this was essentially
a millimetre.
An armpit.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't seem to make any sense, but if you want VAR, this is what you're going to get.
Well, you have to commit to it or not. I mean, I know, like, you talk about dialing back aspects of it, and do you restrict VAR to certain situations? Like, but I think actually offside is one of those that people are generally thinking, yeah, offside is a good one. You know, offside is like
there's no room
crossing the line, a shot crossing the line. I mean, you see, was it the Liverpool City game last year where there was a ball that was
John Stones
was nearly
off the line?
Yeah, like. That's what you're looking for from technology. It's the interpretation of maybe handballs and stuff that can nearly be subjective, that's more that you can see the argument for phasing it out. And I mean, I like this idea of a certain amount of challenges or something in a game or a half. It's actually not a bad idea, but. Yeah, I don't know. This is it. People have signed up for this, so they can't really complain when you get this minute level of detail.
Well, some would say the game is gone, wouldn't they, Stephen Elliott?
Yeah, just listening to you there, lads. I don't know if you just watched the game. Did you see any of it? I just couldn't believe he brought it back for offside. Like, the guy that scored the goal at Areria, wherever his name is, the fullback off Spurs, him and another guy, they'd done a dance for about 5 minutes. And as he was dancing, I said to myself, they're going to bring this back, I guaranteed, because as the ball was played through, I thought, yeah, he could be offside, and I didn't think he was. You kind of know watching the game, I think, if they're offside, but even when they brought it back for me, when they drew the line down, they're guessing, I think, where they're drawing the line from on their arm. Like, there's no, you telling me that this guy who's drawing this line is putting it right in the corner of the guy's armpit, and they have it frozen at the exact point of the assist into Son. For me, VAR, I'm against it totally. I'm one of these where I don't think the game was massively much wrong with the game. We played this game for hundreds of years, and I don't know, sometimes referees made mistakes, and so what? It was talking points and you get on with them. It didn't really affect the game. I think now it's just getting petty, and if we're going to have decisions like this, where this one today particularly kind of made me blood boil, it was just a shambles. The goal should have been given for me. He's onside. I know they draw the line and he's slightly ahead, but for me it's onside, and it's just a shambles. And obviously Spurs go on, concede 2 goals after it, and I don't know. I turned the BT Sports off in disgust today. Actually,
really?
I think
Spurs are due a bit of bad luck with VAR though.
After the Manchester City,
it got them to the Champions League.
That one, I watched that game, and I backed Man City half-time, full-time, and I did a dance like my own dance celebrating the goal, because my bet had come in, and then the lads were like, "Oh no, this is going to be called back." But what Steve says there, I've often wondered in photo finishes in horses, like, they can't be exactly on the line, the two horses. There must be some, a millimetre of a millimetre separating them. And when you're getting as technical as something like that today, the ethos was that you favour the forward player. And this crack of bringing goals back like that, I think, is fairly demoralising. I don't think it does much for the spectacle either. And it's real technicalities. And that's...
The technicality is that the offside line is here, and he was offside. Now, there is, as you say, and maybe somebody listening who's very much on top of this can talk to us about exact frame rates, but what you're watching on TV is a frame rate. The ball is moving at a certain speed that is actually quicker than the frame rate. So is there a slight, and when you are down to this minute millimetre detail, is it a possibility that if the frame rate was off, he could actually have been onside?
Yeah.
But like,
See, when we're having a debate, sorry, I think Stephen's trying to come in, but if we're having a debate about frame rates, I can sort of see Stephen's point. You know what I mean? Like we're actually having what's your take on frame rates? If you know more about frame rates, please send in a message. But like, I was supportive of VAR coming in. My stance on it is probably it's there's some instances now that are making it harder to defend, but my rationale would still be if it corrects. Like
the majority of
if it corrects the majority of wrong decisions, there's always going to be some that are leave people feeling unhappy. And you do go back to Thierry Henry and certain times where it would have suited you for something like this to exist and like some great injustices not be perpetrated. It's these marginal ones that are a problem.
Yeah.
But I think that is a part of what you're signing up for.
Yeah, but I think, Dan, do you not think, right, it was brought in for clear and obvious errors, and I understand, them goals have been given where he's a good yard offside and the linesman's missed it. Okay, but that today, if that goal had been given and it didn't go to VAR, nobody would have complained about that decision. I don't think Leicester would have had much of a complaint. He probably would have looked and thought, yeah, he's onside. That's the thing that bugs me as a football fan now. Like, you're sitting in the ground, like you're watching on telly. For me, it's taken a lot of excitement out of the game, and it's a game that I love. And watching the game now, it's causing me not to love it as much, and for me that can't be right.
The clear and obvious error point as well. That Man City Spurs game, like nobody in the ground saw that handball. It was not a clear and obvious error. It shouldn't go.
It was, but that's a different rule.
Yeah, but
so there's different parts of VAR.
The new handball.
So the handball rule is very simple. If the ball touches the hand or arm of an attacking player in the build-up to a goal, accidentally or not, it doesn't matter. The goal is ruled out. So that's different again from the clear and obvious. The offside is meant to be that there's no subjectivity around it at all. It's offside or it's onside. The problem there is, even you look at the Spurs player, he's doing everything right. He's holding his line. He's literally looking across, and he can't properly realise that, all right, maybe my arm is slightly here and his arm is slightly there.
Yeah.
It's sport. It's not supposed to be perfect. It's just, and it is kind of...
Yeah. But it's changing the mindset of a forwards movement now, I think, because you're thinking, like, you used to play, when I played, if you're making that movement kind of in between the lines, you play it on the shoulder.
Take the risk.
Yeah, and now it's like, maybe I shouldn't play on the shoulder. It was always the case of giving the striker advantage. That's what people say. If given the benefit of the doubt, we want to see more goals. But now it's like somebody's playing a video game and they just want to stop goals going in. I don't know. It just bugs me.
We're getting to the root of it now. The strikers' union. Why are they giving the benefit of the doubt to the defender?
Yeah.
It's funny. I was watching the rugby earlier, and I was looking at it. I thought there must have been 3 or 4 passes that looked, including into one of the tries. It was the South African try that looked like clearly forward, and I was just wondering, like, where is rugby with regard to this? Because something like the motion of the ball, the movement of the ball should be fairly straightforward, and like a forward pass is pretty important to rugby, and I don't know if there's any suggestion that they're going to bring in something like that.
The ball can go forward in rugby.
It's just the force
as long as it leaves
rugby,
the hand going backwards is what Neil is telling me.
Yeah.
I think though, Nate, when they're running in rugby, I'm not a rugby expert, but I think if they're running at such high speeds and they throw it backwards, obviously the trajectory of the ball is going to kind of probably take it forward at the speed they're running. So, because I often wondered watching rugby, when you're looking back, you think that's going forward, but I don't know. I think it's as long as the force bit of the ball's come back, and then obviously the speed some of these lads are running like 100 metres in 10 seconds now. I think that Australian guy today that got the try. So if they're at the high speed, so you're going to be doing well to kind of throw the ball backwards and stop it from going forwards if you're running at that speed, aren't you?
Yeah, but must be pointed out that
there's been a goal at the Etihad, what I was going to tell you.
Every time Stephen answers a question, Man City score a goal.
So there's now been 3 goals since we last thought there was a goal, and it's now Manchester City 5, Watford 0. Manchester City have just scored their 5th goal. There's 17 minutes gone, and City are 5-0 up already.
So I was at the Bows UCD 10-1. This looks like it's probably nearly odds on to be another 10-goal.
Is this going to make you question the entire point of Watford as a club?
Should Watford be in the Premier League?
I don't think there's been 10 goals in the Premier League from one club.
No, 9. 9 is the record. Spurs scored 9, didn't they?
Yeah.
Defoe scored 5.
And Manchester United got 9 against Ipswich back in the day.
Yeah, Spurs beat Wigan 9-1, and
There must be no VAR.
Man City,
City game, is there?
I think Andy Cole scored a stack load for Manchester United against Ipswich back in the day, I think it was, yeah.
So the goal scorers, David Silva scored in the first minute, then a Sergio Aguero penalty, then Bernardo Silva. I'm trying to remember these now.
Otamendi got the 5th.
Gabriel Jesus got the 4th.
Yeah.
And Bernardo Silva.
Was it Otamendi got the 5th? No? Oh, was it? Oh, right, okay.
Gabriel Jesus isn't playing, so it probably wasn't him.
I thought Otamendi might have got one, but...
Otamendi got the 5th?
Yeah.
So who got the 4th?
I don't know. I thought it was a replay of the 3rd. I didn't realise they'd scored another goal.
I lost interest.
It's quite surprising, really, that start by Watford, considering I watched them last week against Arsenal and they were brilliant after Sanchez going back in there. So I know Man City are a different level when they turn around, but 5-0 is ridiculous.
It is shocking. Like, I mean, I know that Man City are really good, but I remember, like Stephen, talking. I think it was John O'Shea after Ireland lost to Germany 6-1 that time. I remember he was saying afterwards that, like, no matter how bad things go, like, you know, a professional team as such shouldn't be conceding that volume of goals. You know, to concede 5 goals in 17 minutes, no matter how good Man City are, it's pretty poor.
No, I know and as I said, it's so surprising because Watford last week they looked quite assured against Arsenal, and I don't know, but it's one of them where when Man City turn around, they're a little bit like kind of Liverpool, like, and obviously City would be looking at Liverpool with the gap now, and Pep has probably spoke to them through the week and says, listen, we kind of need to make a statement here, and there's nothing like putting 5 goals in the first 16, 17 minutes just to make a statement, but God knows what that'll end now.
Norwich have poked the bear, maybe. You know.
So still 5-0, 20 minutes gone. Bernardo Silva's got 2. Otamendi got the 5th.
Okay.
So, and also Sergio Aguero scored from the penalty spot, and there was a goal in there as well.
I'd say the guy doing the goal updates is obviously he's malfunctioned now.
Oh, he has, absolutely.
Like, this is
Livescore.com wasn't built for this type of scenario at all. And there's also been goals at Turf Moor. Let's see what's happening there. Burnley against Norwich. Adam Drury.
Burnley 2, Norwich 0, and it's Chris Wood who's got his 2nd goal of the game. It came about from the work of Dwight McNeil. He played in a cross from the left-hand side, in at the 6 yards out. There was Wood, pokes it home, and it's as easy as you like for Burnley. Burnley 2, Norwich 0.
So a double for Chris Wood, Burnley in control there. The other game is between Everton and Sheffield United. That one remains scoreless. Let's get an update then from the Etihad. Manchester City against Watford. Darren Stanich.
Manchester City 5, Watford 0. It's Nicholas Otamendi who slides in at the back post to score City's 5th. They had a free kick on the left-hand side. It was played forward, cross came in, cross the face of goal. No one picked Otamendi up as he slid home the 5th. City 5, Watford 0.
City on the attack again, pushing for a 6th as they head for the midway point of the first half. Earlier, Leicester beat Spurs 2-1. Newcastle against Brighton is the late game. In the Championship, it finished 1-1 between Leeds and Derby in the early game. The only goals in the 3 o'clock kickoffs. Cardiff are 1-0 up against Middlesbrough, while there's also been a goal in the game between Reading and Blackburn. Blackburn 1-0 up at the Madejski Stadium. I don't know if you saw much of this Leicester against Tottenham game, Stephen, with Leicester coming from behind, and obviously you switched off for... Did you see James Maddison's goal then?
No, I watched the whole game and then I switched it off. But Maddison, yeah, I was speaking to somebody watching the first half, and I was actually speaking about Maddison because he's really starting to turn on the style in these last few appearances, and I don't know, he's just seemed to kind of embrace that role he plays for Leicester, and I think Leicester will be doing very well to kind of keep hold of him. He carries this performance level up. It reminds me a little bit of Jack Grealish, the way he plays, but I think he's slightly better than him at the moment. He drifts by players, and it doesn't look like he's trying very hard to do it. And obviously, as we've seen today, his strike was fantastic right in the bottom corner. I think they were saying he's had so many shots this year, and that's his first goal. But I think that might be the one that kind of sets him off. You might see him getting on the score sheet quite regularly now, I'd imagine.
Yeah, he's a real talent. Obviously, there was some speculation saying that he could possibly be eligible for the Republic of Ireland, and then lo and behold, a day later he's named in the England squad.
Yeah, well, I mean, he is eligible. I mean, the thing is, like Grealish, they are Irish qualified. You know, there is some good stuff in the genes there.
What
you know,
is it in our heritage that creates all these great English players?
It's through their grandparents or whatever. You know, it doesn't get the right generation, but. He's quality. I mean, this was Maddison actually basically replaced Wes at Norwich initially, and I think there was talk when he was younger. I think at Coventry I think that was when the Irish link come out first, and maybe when he was up in Scotland, and like, of course that would be the time. But yeah, he's not going to around. Although he hasn't played, I think, competitively for England still, but he's been in around the squads.
You'd think though, Dan, wouldn't you? Like all these players England have coming through midfield, some of these lads be thinking, do you know what, I'm not going to really have much of an international career if there's so many. Like, you can't play them all. So maybe one of the majors think, do you know what, wouldn't mind joining up with the lads and getting a few points of Guinness in. You know, because I said, like, they can only play maximum of 3 central midfielders, and they do have an abundance of quality, England. So maybe these lads need to start looking at this if they do qualify. I don't know. I know you don't want to be harping on trying to get English players. We want Irish players that want to play for us, but at the same time we want to be competitive and try and qualify for tournaments, and having players with this quality will help us.
I don't think it's going to be Stephen Kinney's MO though to kind of really make any major effort to go chasing lads if they're not kind of given the overtures as they want to do it. I think he's more like this to get.
He has recruited players though, Kenny. I mean, he has done a bit of that, but the problem. I mean, Grealish can't even change back now, even if he wanted to, because he went through the switch.
Madison's going to be a bit of a superstar, I think.
Like Grealish,
brilliant personality as well.
I think Grealish's
interviews are great.
But I think the thing about Madison, I haven't seen a huge amount of him, but like you watch Grealish with Villa, and he's trying to do everything. Like Grealish is all over the place, and he's trying to. Whereas I think with Madison with Leicester, he's centrally involved, but they're probably a bit of a better side, and he can actually concentrate on sort of affecting the game where he's effective. Whereas like Grealish is sort of, he's everywhere, you know. And I think sometimes that neutralises what he can do, because I still think Grealish is a terrific player, but Madison just seems that I'd agree with Stephen on that Madison's probably ahead of him, you know.
Yeah, but I think that you're right. That's a good point, Dan. I think Grealish playing. I watched him there even the other night against. He played Monday night against West Ham, and he done some great things. At times, because he was trying to do so much, he ended up giving the ball away. But like you say, if you were to put Grealish, say, in a Spurs or a kind of another top 6 team, I think we'd see him raising these levels again, obviously with the training, with the better players, and maybe that's so. Maybe it was a little bit harsh saying Madison's ahead of him, but that's what happens. I think that the higher level you go up, you play with better players, and you have to be banging out all the time, and you're playing with the better players. You don't have to move all the time, because these players find you in the positions you're already in, and I think Madison's finding that at Leicester, and I think he's ready to kind of go to the next level after Leicester now, after watching him. Even last year he was good at times as well, to be fair to him.
The win moves Leicester up to second temporarily, because Manchester City are going to retake that spot. It was a bit of a surprise last week that Manchester United actually beat Leicester at Old Trafford. When you look at the quality that's there from very solid keeper in Kasper Schmeichel through the centre with Johnny Evans, Ndidi, Tielemans and Maddison playing just in behind Jamie Vardy, and they've got some really talented young players then, the likes of Harvey Barnes, who's still 16, 17, Chowdhury, who was on the bench today, who again has shown glimpses that he could be a pretty special player. Have they got enough to genuinely challenge for the top 4 this season?
You'd have to say they do. Well, this thing competing, like they're in second place. I know they may not stay there, but they've got a really good experienced manager there as well. Somebody that's kind of been in and around them places in the table, and they do have finance behind them too. They've got a lot of money if they need to shell out. Kind of come January, if they are kind of still in there or thereabouts, there's no reason why they may be able to go out and get another player. And if they are in them Champions League places, big players may be inclined more to go to them if there's a chance of them playing Champions League football next season. So Leicester, listen, the Premier League champions, what was it, 3 seasons ago? So they're no mugs, and I think they've got a really quality team. And to watch the way they play, they always give teams a game, no matter who they're playing against. Even there, like we said, Man United, bit of a shock beating them, but for me it wasn't that much of a shock. You always expect Man United to win games when they're at home, but Leicester, listen, they're a match for anybody when they're on form.
I remember watching them against City last season in the game, obviously that kind of decided the title, and you could see Rodgers, the imprint he'd made at that stage, and it's not a surprise how well they've done, but the traditional big teams have too many question marks against them to say that like Leicester probably have a very realistic chance of top 4, I think, because as you say, Rodgers is a very, very good coach as well. Like he genuinely is, and I really fancied them to get something at Old Trafford. I was surprised, but huge result today, and they have goal scorers. That's the thing as well.
There is a year where things might just come together with Chelsea, you know, sort of being in that sort of state of change, and as we mentioned, like Arsenal, Spurs, Man U, like if they can build up points, almost like different type of thing from 2016, but if they can just build up a sort of a collection of points early, they're not going to have that European distraction. So they could put themselves in a position where, you know, they've almost got something to protect in terms of their position in the table.
Let's see what's going on at the Etihad. It's still all Manchester City. It's City against Watford. Darren Stanich.
Manchester City 5, Watford 0. City scoring their 5th goal on 17 minutes. They won a free kick on the left-hand side. It was played forward. A cross came in, crossed the face of goal. No one had tracked Otamendi, who arrived at the back post to slide home. It should have been 6 just a few minutes ago. Sergio Aguero played through one-on-one. He chipped the keeper, but the ball went wide. Watford have a free kick then, which is going to be taken by Deulofeu, who shoots, and it's saved by the keeper. City 5, Watford 0.
Lads, VAR is not the problem at all. It's the rules that are the problem, and VAR is showing this. The solution is to redefine the rules, i.e. rewrite the laws to reflect a specification, as is the case demonstrated on false starts in athletics, says Darren in Longford.
I think there's something in that in terms of the handball rule in particular that you mentioned, you know, that the hardening of it in certain degrees, like, but I don't know how do you amend an offside, you know, the offside definition in such a way. You know, I don't know how you can fix that one, today's example. But I think generally,
even Dan, though, how far do we go back? Because like that goal today wasn't from the initial assist for the goal. Like, it was kind of a couple of passes beforehand. So is there a limit how far they can go back for these kind of potential mistakes by the officials? And I know what you're saying. It's not VAR, it's the people, but it is VAR, because when VAR wasn't around, I don't know, I think people found watching football a little bit more enjoyable. I just think it's becoming computerised, and it's for the likes of tennis, which is like, is the ball in or out? It's fine. Cricket as well to an extent, but football, even rugby, because rugby is a bit more stop-start. No, only stop the ball and the referee speaks is a kind of try or what have you. But I think football is a quicker game, and I don't know. For me, I don't think it's needed, and obviously it's in there now, so we're going to have to probably accept it unless the laws of the game change it. But I don't think there's many football men out there who love football can realistically say hand on heart that it's made the game better to watch.
I'll disagree there. Ultimate football man, John Giles, very much a VAR fan.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. The longer it goes on, I doubt he'll be as warm to it. Like, if it's a case of the ball being over the line or not, or like Hawkeye in Gaelic games, which is very hard to argue with, fine, but stuff like today, stuff like going back for handballs that, like, you know, are obviously
that's not
obviously to do with
VAR.
the rules
That's
of
the
the game.
rule.
It wouldn't have been given though. The point is, it wouldn't have been given because nobody would have seen it. It's just completely stupid.
We saw the other angle as well today, which is, so that goal would have put Tottenham 2-0 up and probably game done. It's disallowed, and the King Power goes absolutely wild.
Momentum.
And it's almost like Leicester had got a goal themselves. Suddenly there's this, from being in a pretty poor position, there's this spark around the stadium of, yes.
Yeah.
And Leicester did kick on from there.
Wasn't it the Spurs fans who started the chants about VAR before, when it saved them a couple of times?
Oh, yeah?
There is a bit of sort of karma coming round. Like, it's like you know, like Stephen, it's like these things balance themselves out over the course of a season. You know, that old line. These VAR decisions will balance themselves out.
Do you not take another thing? No, the goal, obviously there was another VAR decision in the game earlier on that Leicester had a goal disallowed for offside, and he was blatantly offside, and the VAR decision was right. But the linesman didn't put his flag up because they're told to let the game continue because they have the safety blanket of going back and checking it. And so I think it's like taking the linesman's job, assisting the referee's job out of the game, because they know we don't have to put a flag up because the VAR protect us. I don't know. I just think it's too slow, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But Johnny
For me,
let's keep it,
lads, for me, VAR is the best thing for soccer, just like it is for rugby. It takes most of the element of doubt out of inflamed situations, and in fact, like rugby or tennis, it creates another exciting moment in viewing. Don't agree though with the referee running across the pitch, and should be a third impartial party deciding the outcome, says Stephen
That's
Bray.
not true though, Nathan, is it? Because, like, look how often we're debating decisions now, even with VAR. So you're taking it out, and why do so many people debate and talk about it still?
That's one point that isn't made enough, in that an incident, a foul or a non-foul, it happens in real time. It does not happen in slow motion. Yet we think slow motion basically tells us a lot more when it might not necessarily, because you're looking at something that, oh yeah, like even the penalty the other night in the Liverpool-Napoli game looks so different in slow motion to in real life, and everyone is kind of judging on slow motion that it definitely wasn't.
Maybe they should just ban slow motion from the VAR replays. They have to watch on. They have to watch on a slightly faster speed. They have to watch on plus 0.5 or 1.5, and then if it's really obvious, then they make the call, but if not, they have to leave.
If I had a vote now, I'd vote for it to be banned altogether, because I just preferred the way it was. I just think it's too annoying.
All right, our football coverage brought to you with thanks to Paddy Power. For information on responsible gambling, visit dunlewy.net. The latest scores in the Premier League: Manchester City 5, Watford 0. That was the scoreline after 17 minutes. Goals from David Silva, Sergio Aguero, Riyad Mahrez, Bernardo Silva and Nicolas Otamendi for Manchester City. They've had 2 or 3 brilliant chances since then. They've hit the post. Sergio Aguero's missed a couple of opportunities, and Watford have decided, unsurprisingly, with 32 minutes gone, they're going to make a substitution. It's Everton 0, Sheffield United 0, and Burnley, thanks to an early brace from Chris Wood, lead Norwich by 2-0. That, of course, Norwich after beating Manchester City last week. In the Championship, Cardiff are 1-0 up against Middlesbrough. Blackburn 1-0 up away at Reading. Preston have gone 1-0 up away at Birmingham City. Sean Maguire with the goal for
He's
Preston.
back after his freak eye injury that he sustained. He's actually having a good season this year.
We're going to have to extend it to Sean Maguire, I think, to the Championship. Or then are we just going to be playing it all the time?
Yeah, you
Don't have enough prizes, I'm told.
No,
It's a bit unfortunate for him that he's kind of not really necessarily in the starting picture now, just because of the way things have worked out. Because he's, in a way, he's probably our in-form striker at the moment in terms of his club form.
Yeah, arguably Collins has started the season well at Luton too, and he did well. He scored for Ireland when he came on. So, yeah, I suppose. Mick is actually going for a smaller squad, so I'd say Maguire would probably make the next squad, but it's not actually certain because he's missed out in the last one. And obviously Shane Long is goosed, and people want to bring Parrott in, so like Maguire would be on the cut line if that was the
Might be Maguire
case.
or Hogan, one or the other.
Yeah, Hogan probably didn't do himself any favours, and he's more to the point, Stoke are struggling.
Yeah.
And McCarthy did speak about that.
Let's see what's happening at Goodison Park then. It's Everton against Sheffield United. Paul Anthony.
Everton still bossing this game in terms of possession and chances, but they've been woeful in front of goal. Sigurdsson had the first chance on 2 minutes. He fired wide. Richarlison then had a shot from the edge of the area that went over the bar before Bernard forced Henderson to make a smart save near the post. Delph, Moise Keane, Dina and Coleman have all had chances, while at the other end, not a lot to report really. Jordan Pickford been a spectator for most of the game. It's Everton 0, Sheffield United 0.
And Turf Moor, Burnley against Norwich. Adam Drury.
Still 2-0 to Burnley. They continue to assault the Norwich goal as the Canaries do their best not to fall further behind. The hosts should have been 3-0 up had Jeff Hendrick not bluffed his lines in front of an open goal. Norwich have looked shell-shocked. They've lost their captain Alex Tete to injury to make matters worse, but they were also unlucky not to pull a goal back when Moritz Leitner had a strike from 25 yards out that hit the post. That would have offered them a lifeline. At Turf Moor, it's Burnley 2, Norwich 0.
Could have been 2 goals in a week for Hendrick.
Could have been, but the music didn't play, unfortunately. Good afternoon to Justin Mason, who has tweeted in.
Mulligans.
He's in Mulligans, listening
I presume
in.
it's Mulligans of Poolbeg Street.
And reading the opposition view from last week. Cheers all, 5 in a row. He's reading the Kerry Man, obviously a very happy dub. 53106
Big Rovers fan
is
as
the
well,
text
Justin,
number.
actually, so.
Had his stag in Terryland Park.
That is hardcore.
Back in the days of the bar.
Second time that's been mentioned on the show in the last 3 weeks.
Wow. Just before we go to ads, a text in. If we had VAR, Thierry Henry's goal against Ireland would not have been allowed. That alone justifies VAR to me. I don't care about celebrations by hipster footballers looking for likes on social media. All right, quick break, and then we're talking about 14-year-olds playing in the League of Ireland.
Football on Off the Ball
with Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Jeff and Heskey.
This weekend, News Talk is getting behind the Irish rugby team as they kickstart their campaign in Japan. We'll be bringing you unrivaled coverage right throughout the tournament with previews and reviews, reaction and analysis, plus exclusive content from our man on the ground, Henry McKean.
Yabby means terrible or amazing, so you could just say Ireland were yabby.
Does it depend on how you pronounce it?
I think so,
it?
exactly.
Okay.
A bit like in Ireland, you can be grand, but you can be grand.
News Talk, supporting the Irish rugby team in Japan.
With thanks to Euronext Dublin, the new home of the Irish Stock Exchange, supporting Irish business for over 200 years.
Follow it all on air, on social, and on newstalk.com.
Productive afternoons with Harvey Norman. Need more you time? Ask about our range of large capacity washing machines with quick wash functions in Harvey Norman today. Now, where's the remote?
Go, Harvey, go! In fairness to the government, it introduced the home renovation incentive, 13.5% cash back when you renovated your home. Now that's gone out the window. In fairness to Fairco, there's now the Fairco Home Renovation Grant, a cheque back for the same amount.
Say that again?
With Fairco Windows and Doors, you get a check back into your hand direct from Fairco. Yes, a few small terms and conditions apply, but you also get a beautiful, warm, secure home.
Well, fair dues to Fairco.
For more details, see fairco.ie.
At Energia, we're proud to be the power behind Irish rugby and proud to keep bringing you great savings. To save the most, the best tactic is always to go direct to Energia. It's easier, quicker, and right now you can save up to €597 when you switch to Ireland's cheapest dual fuel bundle. Always play it direct. Go to energia.ie or call 1850 300 700. Energia, the power behind your savings. EAB €1,520 based on average annual usage. 12-month contract, discounted unit rates, standing charge, PSO levy and carbon tax, T's and C's and early termination fee apply. Valid from August 2019 and subject to change. Verification and T's and C's at energia.ie/EAB.
Be confident in the next car you buy. At Dundeel, you can find cars from over 1,000 trusted dealerships nationwide. Now you can search for cars with warranties and monthly finance options to meet your budget. Dundeel, Ireland's largest car showroom in the palm of your hand.
The Sport Ireland campus Blanchardstown is the home of Irish sport, not just for our athletes but for you in the community. Check out our amazing offers for families with kids camps, sport academies and birthday parties. Or for adults, why not join our gym with a 50-metre pool? Or your club, school, friends can book one of our world-class indoor or outdoor facilities, including our athletics track, soccer, basketball or badminton courts and many more. Check us out on sportirelandcampus.ie.
The 2019 Boyle Sports World Grand Prix Darts is back at the City West Convention Centre, Dublin from the 6th to the 12th of October. See 32 of the biggest darting stars on the planet, including world number 1 Michael van Gerwen, former Grand Prix champion Darrell Gurney, plus fan favourite Peter Wright. Get your tickets now at ticketmaster.ie and search darts. The 2019 Boyle Sports World Grand Prix Darts at City West. Game on.
This week in the Big Save at Lidl, we've got something amazing that costs absolutely nothing. Listening. How can that help me save, I hear you ask? Well, listening could save a young person you know from worry and distress. They might be a family member, a friend or even a young colleague. Look, we know times can get tough for our young people, but we also know that having someone in their lives who really listens can make a difference. It's like this. Lidl supports Jigsaw and Jigsaw supports us all by helping us to find ways to really listen and be the one good adult in young people's lives. Go on, be a big saver. It will cost you nothing. See Lidl.ie/one good adult for more. Lidl, more for youth.
Bruce Betting, one of Ireland's leading bookmakers. With best odds guaranteed on UK and Irish horse racing, Bruce Betting has you covered. And with the Bruce Betting app, we're always giving you more. T's and C's apply. Bruce Betting, in-store, online and now on your phone. Over 18s, please gamble responsibly. See dunlewy.net.
Movie buffs and sports fans are about to clash because the sale that stacks up is back. Switch to Virgin Media and get superfast broadband and TV with Virgin Media Sport, and now with the choice of Sky Sports or Sky Cinema. All for an awesome €55 a month for 12 months. The sale that stacks up. Now on. See virginmedia.ie.
T's and C's apply. See virginmedia.ie. New customers only. 12-month contract. Offer ends 2nd of October 2019.
The Fairco Windows and Doors Home Renovation Grant. A cheque back into your hand. See fairco.ie. T's and C's apply.
Welcome back indoors to great offers like 2 for €39 on Dulux 2.5 litre standard coloured emulsion. Homebase. Feels good to be home. Excludes pure brilliant white emulsion and paint mixing.
We're going on a bear hunt. We're going to catch a big one. What a beautiful day. We're not scared. Uh-oh. Grass. Long, wavy grass. We can't go over it. We can't go under it.
Oh no! We've got to go through it. Swishy swashy, swishy swashy, swishy swashy. Reading with children inspires reading for life. Switch off and read with Ethan.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Shearer and Owen.
All right, welcome back to Saturday's Off the Ball. 53106 is the text number. Nathan, Dan and Johnny in studio. Stephen Elliott is on the line as well. You're a very angry man on Twitter these days, Stephen. Very angry.
Nah, not always.
Well, the last 24 hours you've got very angry. So what started it all was Evan Ferguson, 14 years of age, came off the bench for Bohemians in the League of Ireland last night. And there's been a huge amount of debate about this since yesterday evening as to whether or not a 14-year-old should be playing men's football at that level, at such a high level, or whether he's simply too young. Where do you stand on it, Stephen?
I don't think he should be anywhere near the first team at that age. Obviously, people will say if he's old enough, or sorry, if he's good enough, he's old enough. But I think 14 is a bit. I have a 14-year-old son, and I just think if he was in a dressing room, a senior dressing room, some of the stuff that I know goes on and being said, that environment, it's no place for a 14-year-old. And I don't know. I just think if he's good, don't rush it. Let him kind of take his time and kind of develop into the footballer that hopefully he will go on and be. But 14 is just a little bit too young for me. It doesn't sit right with me at all.
Bohemians obviously rate this player massively, and Keith Long obviously understands the risks of putting such a young player into that environment. It clearly feels that physically he's ready for it. There's a couple of different angles. There's the on pitch and there's the off pitch. I think, as Stephen says, is a League of Ireland dressing room a place where a 14-year-old needs to be?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the oldest player to play for Bohs last night was 24. I mean, it is a young group. That doesn't necessarily change the point. I walked into Tala last night for the Rovers Pats game, and one of the first people I actually met was Barry Ferguson, who's Evan's dad, who's was in England as a kid. He's a very experienced ex-League of Ireland player. And he actually just mentioned he'd got a text to say that Evan was on the bench. And I was chatting away to him briefly for a bit, and because he came on and played against Chelsea in the summer. People may remember that. There's a bit of hype around that, and I was sort of asking, well, there was certainly from Barry's end, as someone who knows the game and has been in football, that he had no fears from his end. And in terms of his sort of maturity and physically, he seems to be in good condition. The one thing I would say, it's unbelievable that he's October. He's 15 in a month's time, I should say. So the 14 thing is like really jarring. We're sort of used to 15-year-olds coming on at various levels of the game, and he is 15 in a month, So now actually, there's this whole theory about relative age, which is a story for another day, that a lot of our better players are born in January, February. So for someone to be October now, like he's obviously exceptionally good and exceptionally unique talent. But I guess Bohs were missing 11 players. They're missing a whole team practically last night, and he is on their books through St. Kevin's. And people who know football, who'd be very responsible coaches, they feel he's okay, and his family feel it's okay. I do understand. That said, I understand the unease that people feel about it. I would have thought there would have been a rule there, which there obviously isn't.
Well, you do have rules for a lot of the underage leagues, where say under 14s aren't allowed to play for under 16s.
Yeah, so that in that respect, I can understand the debate and the discussion around it. But I'm not sure that I think that people are being reckless. I think that's a bit harsh on Bohs. I think if it was almost, maybe I'm just being coloured by the fact that I know people very well who are sort of involved to a degree, or not knowing them well, but I know that they know football very well. It's not as if there's sort of a naive family who don't know anything about football that are being led, we'll put them on here. There's this theory, for example, one of the theories is that Bohs are trying to
put him in the shop window.
As far as I know, I'm sure there's more will come out in this. I think his future is already secured. So this isn't about getting more cash. I think the deal is already done, but he's 14, so he wouldn't be able to go anywhere until he's 16 anyway. But it's not about that. So I think some of the theories around it are definitely unfair.
What are the benefits of a 14-year-old playing in the League of Ireland?
Well, he played against obviously against Chelsea already, and it's putting him up to a level that will certainly challenge him as a player. I will reiterate what Dan said. Physically, he doesn't look. Now he's effectively 15 as well. I mean, he's
14.
He's 14. He's more 15 than 14, if you know what I mean. He's 15 rounded off by a month. He's 15 next month. So do you know what I mean? He's
When's
14,
your birthday, John?
He's 14 like.
November.
So
you're 30,
I'm more 37, 36. He's in a dressing room that now I know one player actually messaged me last night and he said in the League of Ireland said there's no way that he should be in the dressing room, and it's exactly what Sleeve said there. But I imagine the Bohs dressing room last night is very conscious of the fact that there's a kid here. They have a duty of responsibility to make this a good experience for him, because it's when I was 14, personally when I was 14 I was very, very immature, and I was like I wouldn't have been able to wouldn't have been able to make a cup of tea, I'd say, not to mind play senior football. So I think I as a 14-year-old, there's no way I would be prepared for that level. But I think kids are getting older faster, if that makes sense. I think he's probably
through a footballing environment.
Yeah, I mean, Barcelona had the youngest ever player recently.
16 scored in the Champions League.
Like 16, so a 16-year-old playing. Now I know, like, people's development, and like you need someone who's a real expert on like those issues to debate it. But like a 16-year-old playing Champions League football around Barcelona, like that's surely it's demanding for him as well. Like, I do think the fact that he is almost 15 probably is significant to a degree.
Maybe we could judge it on whether or not he says I'm 14 and a half, or whether he can accept full ages.
Well, this is the debate. Stephen, sorry.
I just think I've got a slight, I might be wrong. I think you look at Bowes, obviously, it could be one of them where they're using it kind of as not a publicity stunt, something along those lines. Remember they done the Bob Marley on the strip there at the start of last year. And
that's a very loaded suggestion. And if I'm just thinking, like, you know that it's going to get coverage, like, and as I said, it's putting the club and it's making people aware that Bowes are playing for it. I might be totally off the mark here, but you just don't know. Like,
I don't think so in this case.
Are Bowes not in a bad position?
That was a
huge. If a 14-year-old is one of their 16 best players.
That was a huge game for him last night. They're playing Derry, who are their main rivals in the race for third in European football. I listen. Bowes probably have done stuff like that in the past, but I think in this instance,
they're not gambling on the 14-year-old.
Keith Long and Trevor Crowley in a big European game. They obviously feel with what they've got that he's better than the backup that they have.
People did say when he came on in that friendly game he was very, very good, and this was a huge game for Bowes, as Dan says. They're in real danger of losing out on European place, which is worth an awful lot of money to a club. We're going to get to the money situation here that doesn't really have any streams of income worth talking about. So it wasn't like put him in here for a publicity stunt. They bloody well needed to not lose that game last night.
If they were 10-1 up against UCD and brought him on for a couple of minutes, I think you would make that point. But this particular game, that's the way that they've gone.
53106 is the text number if you have any thoughts on it. There's been a goal at Goodison Park. Everton against Sheffield United. Paul Anthony.
It's Everton 0, Sheffield United 1, and really against the run of play, just on the stroke of half time, Sheffield United have taken the lead. It was a corner swung in, Ollie McBurney rose, it went into the bottom corner, the referee went to VAR, VAR gave it. It's Everton 0, Sheffield United 1.
Fair play to VAR, doing the job yet again. So Sheffield United 1-0 up away at Everton. Half time's just starting to go around the grounds. Let's go to Turf Moor first, where Burnley made a bright start against Norwich. Adam Drury.
Wood has fired Burnley into a 2-0 half-time lead, knocking the Canaries firmly off their perch. The Clarets took the lead from a 10th minute corner as Chris Wood nodded Westwood's ball in at near post, and then 4 minutes later the lead was doubled. Dwight McNeil's cross made it simple for Chris Wood to bag his second from 6 yards out. Norwich have played right into Burnley's hands this half, and they've been punished for being far too open and expansive at the back. Half-time at Turf Moor, it's Burnley 2, Norwich 0.
Incredible start to the game at the Etihad Stadium. It was pretty much done after a quarter of an hour. Manchester City against Watford. Darren Stanage.
City 5, Watford 0. An astonishing first half scoreline. The champions 5 up at the break. David Silva scored inside the first minute to set the tone. Aguero fired home a penalty. Mahrez hit home a deflected free kick. Bernardo Silva nodded home the fourth. And Otamendi slid home at the back post a fifth City goal. There was 17 minutes on the clock. Aguero's missed a one-on-one. He's hit the post twice. The champions have been relentless. The record score in a Premier League game, a 7-0 win over Norwich 4 years ago. That could well break that record today. Half-time, City 5, Watford 0.
And to Goodison Park again, Everton against Sheffield United. Paul Anthony.
Sheffield United lead at the break, but Everton will be wondering how they aren't in front. In the first 5 minutes, Sigurdsson and Richarlison both had chances to open the scoring. Both narrowly missed the target. Bernard then forced Henderson to make a smart save at his near post before Delph, Moise Keane, Dean and Coleman tried their luck, all with the same outcome. Sheffield had hardly seen the ball, but 4 minutes before the break, they took the lead when Jeremina turned the ball into his own net. An unlikely scoreline, but it's Everton 0, Sheffield United 1.
So they're the half-time scores in the 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League. Earlier, Leicester came from behind to beat Spurs 2-1. Newcastle-Brighton is the late game in the Championship. Sean Maguire scored to give Preston a 1-0 lead away at Birmingham City. Wigan are 1-0 up against Charlton. Fulham are leading Sheffield Wednesday by a goal to nil. Blackburn are 1-0 up away in their game against Reading. It is Cardiff 1, Middlesbrough 0. All the other games are still scoreless, while Leeds and Derby played out a 1-1 draw earlier today. Lots of big games obviously around Europe as well throughout the afternoon. Barcelona in action later this evening. And up in Scotland, as we just try and run down and get these fixtures, in the Premiership, Aberdeen 1-0 up against Livingston, scoreless between Motherwell and Ross County, and in the game between St Mirren and Hamilton. 53106 if you have any thoughts. Peter is watching on YouTube. Says 14, 15-year-olds, it's a complete joke. He'll be burnt out by 19.
No.
Look at Rooney. He had a 14-year career, was nearly done by 30. This kid will be done by 25.
Okay, the burnt out, I absolutely agree with the concept of you can burn someone out. He's come on for, 10 minutes in a game towards the end of the season. How he's being managed at underage level is obviously critical, but it's doing Bohemians a great disservice to say that it's almost this thing about people don't realise how important this game is to Bohemians, and all the headlines about like a 14-year-old coming on. The environment that they have at Bows, what Trevor Crawley and Keith Long have done there, I'd say the players that are at the club would say it's as good a kind of a dressing room as they've ever been involved in. They seem to be a great bunch of lads who have a brilliant spirit at that club, and I would be pretty certain they would look after the kid. He's not going to be burnt out because he's not going to be playing for Bows week in, week out.
I understand the unease. Like, I think it's a difficult debate, and I don't think it's reckless, that it's been done. I don't think the people involved here, that would be in their nature to do things like that. But I do think that, should there be a proper debate about it off the back of it, there possibly should be, in terms of, I was surprised that there was no rule there.
Well, exactly, that if we have rules all the way up at underage level in pretty much every sport as to how high you can go, that there's nothing that stops a 14-year-old.
And it was funny last night, I put up some tweet about Evan, I think it might have been the first tweet of the night, and then I saw that Evan Ferguson had liked the tweet. So I was like, if I want to do an interview with this lad, I'm pretty sure I'd have to go through his father here. And it'd be the first interview where you're interviewing a League of Ireland player, you're like, I can't go through him. He's like 14 years old.
There's something to be done here about people's reliance on social media likes, that you're buzzing off a 14-year-old liking your tweet.
I'm not buzzing. I was like, he had like...
He was sitting on the bench at the time, so it was a bit weird.
Yeah, but it was like, it was just a strange scenario, whereas I think the fact that Dan was speaking to his dad, though, I think his dad would be, like, obviously he's such a good prospect that he knows what the story is with him, and I think his parents were obviously happy, and I think that's the important thing. If they're good guidance and good kind of guardians of him, and they were happy with it, I don't really have a big issue with it, to be honest.
Stephen?
I just think, again, like, it's obviously there's cameras at the football game, and again, I'll go back to him being 14, like the consent of being on public TV. He's still a young boy. You don't know what effect it's going to have on him as a kid as well. Because people are probably, he'd be a little bit more known now. It's just, for me, I just think it's totally wrong. 14, you're still a kid. You're still in nappies. You shouldn't be in the 14 dressing room, whether you're good enough or not. So
I hope he's not in nappies,
No, but you know what I mean, Johnny. It's I don't know, 14. Like, come on. In a 14, like you say, you mentioned the rule there. If you're under 14s, you can't play in the under 15s, but you can go and play in the senior team. It's not for me.
All right, we need to take a quick break. Just an update on the golf, the PGA Championship taking place at Wentworth. Danny Willett now leads. He's on 14 under par through 11 holes, one shot ahead of John Ram. Some big names just behind, including Rafa Cabrera-Bello on 11 under par, Justin Rose on 10 under par. Rory McIlroy, a third round of 65 for McIlroy, 7 under par for his round today. It moves him on to 6 under, but he is 9 shots behind the lead. The half-times in the Premier League, Manchester City set to close back to within 2 points of Liverpool at the top. They're 5-0 up against Watford at half-time. Burnley 2-0 up against Norwich, and Sheffield United 1-0 up away against Everton. Tomorrow on Off the Ball, we've a live double header. First up, we're at the London Stadium for West Ham against Manchester United at 2 o'clock. Stephen Doyle and Gary Breen will be at that, and then myself and Brian Carroll will be across London at Stamford Bridge for Chelsea against Liverpool from 4:30.
Now West Ham are on the attack. Yarmolenko coming into the right side of the penalty area, onto his left foot. Yarmolenko trying to make space for the shot, which, he did exactly that. That's a fantastic goal. Curled it beyond the outstretched Jordan Pickford into the far corner of the net. His first goal was a team goal. That's a piece of individual brilliance from the Ukrainian striker.
Rashford on the edge of the area, gets the shot off and scores! 2 goals in as many minutes, and Old Trafford goes absolutely wild. And United are absolutely bouncing right now.
He's caught in the entrance area. Mount with the chance, and Mount with the goal.
Brilliant.
Mason Mount
He knows what it means. Salah takes the shot. Oh, Mo Salah with one of the goals of the season. 25 yards out, smashes a shot into the top corner of the net, and Liverpool are going back on top of the Premier League, and Mo Salah is back to his very, very best.
Football on Off the Ball
with Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Jeff and Heskey.
News Talk, supporting the Irish rugby team in Japan.
With thanks to Euronext Dublin, the new home of the Irish Stock Exchange, supporting Irish business for over 200 years.
At Experts Electrical Stores, we know there's a Belling inside every great home. Sensa-Wash energy-saving washing machines, Belling fridge freezers that keep food fresh for longer, kitchen innovations that revolutionise how you cook. Upgrade yours now with up to €150 trade-in on Belling appliances. Only at your local Experts Electrical Store and at expert.ie.
When it comes to family, how much do we really have in common? There's big differences, small differences, meet you in the middle kind of differences. And you debate your differences over chips and cheeseburgers, or vegan cheeseburgers, which you tuck into at dinner or supper, or perhaps you say tea. Whatever you call it, there's no better time to come together. After all, it's differences that make a family. McCain, we are family.
Change takes energy. That's why at Gas Networks Ireland, we're changing your energy future for less. And now, for limited time only, until September 30th, you can get 50% off when you connect and pay online. Join the thousands of homes already connected to cleaner, affordable natural gas. For more, visit gasnetworks.ie. Gas Networks Ireland. Progress. Naturally. Standard domestic connections only. Terms and conditions apply.
Bruce Betting, one of Ireland's leading bookmakers. With best odds guaranteed on UK and Irish horse racing, Bruce Betting has you covered. And with the Bruce Betting app, we're always giving you more. T's and C's apply. Bruce Betting, in-store, online, and now on your phone. Over 18s, please gamble responsibly. See dunlewy.net.
I'll place a full history check on black.
I'll put genuine parts on red.
I'm betting roadside assistance on green.
Buying a used Audi from an unauthorised dealer can be a gamble. But at Audi Approved Plus, all our used models come with a comprehensive warranty, free roadside assistance and more. Don't leave it down to luck. Test drive yours at your local Audi dealer today. Terms and conditions apply. Visit audi.ie.
This week at Dunstore, save big for your little bundle of joy at our baby event. With any 3 for €30 across Pampers Baby Dry Jumbo Plus range, Fairy Non-Bio Detergent Pods 55-pack and Fairy Dishwasher Tablets 78-pack. And with our 10 of 50 grocery voucher, save even more. Dunstores, always better value. See online for terms and conditions, minimum spend required.
Some things just go better together, like brunch and browsing. At Liffey Valley, this couldn't be truer. With more than 20 restaurants, including No & Co., there's plenty of options for a weekend brunch. Then browse around more than 80 stores, and it's the perfect combination for a relaxing afternoon. Liffey Valley. Shop, eat, drink, experience.
It's good to know that when you're with AXA, you get reliable cover and great offers like 2 months free home insurance if you join now. For a quote, search AXA today. AXA. No, you can. Minimum premium is €160. New customers only. Offer ends November 30th, 2019. 2 months free is the equivalent of a 16.67% discount and applies for the first year only. Policy terms and conditions apply. AXA Insurance DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
When pain attempts to ruin our plans, we'll do anything to stop it.
And just relax your shoulder.
Ow! But when pain persists, ask your pharmacist about fast-acting Sulpa Extra Soluble tablets. Because it's soluble, it gets to work 2 times faster than paracetamol tablets, based on absorption data. Sulpa Extra Soluble tablets. Don't let pain hold you back. Sulpa Extra Soluble tablets contain paracetamol and caffeine for the treatment of mild to moderate pain. Always read the leaflet.
Rugby season is back,
And Lifestyle Sports is giving you the chance to win something very special.
The ultimate rugby year for you and 3 mates.
You could be headed to the Champions Cup final,
The Pro 14 final,
interprovincial games of your choice,
and get match day ready with kit bags full of jerseys,
new season training gear,
€400 in vouchers and more.
Check out lifestylesports.com.
Lifestyle Sports Rugby on Insta.
Or buy any jersey in-store or online for a chance to win.
Live rugby with Lifestyle Sports.
Mi dispiace.
Verzeihung.
Wybacz mi.
Lo siento.
Disculpa.
Unnskyld.
Tá brún orm.
Désolé.
Sorry. The word that's never enough after a death on our roads. Sign the pledge at projectedward.org and help us make Thursday the 26th of September the European Day without a road death. From the Road Safety Authority and on Garda Síochána.
Across Ireland on 106 to 108 FM and at newstalk.com. This is News Talk.
Good evening, I'm Tina Gates. Lightning strikes have cut power to 2,000 homes and businesses across the Midlands and South Leinster today. Kilkenny, Wexford and Carlow have been worst affected. Met Éireann's issued a status yellow thunder warning for Waterford, the whole of Leinster and Monaghan. Alan O'Reilly from the Carlow Weather Channel has the latest.
They will make it as far north as Dublin, but they may just stay west of Dublin. But you couldn't rule out some hitting for sure.
The Justice Minister has held a short private meeting with some members of Meat Industry Ireland on the current state of play at the factory gates. Charlie Flanagan met the organisation this morning at their request. Blockades have ended at roughly 9 factories, almost a week after a deal was agreed between stakeholders in the beef dispute. Fianna Fáil TD Eugene Murphy says trust must be restored if the beef price row between meat factories and farmers is to be resolved.
I would appeal to all of those left on gates to seriously consider in the coming hours to lift their pickets. The business needs to restart. Farmers need to sell their stock. And, I think there is a lot of conversation has to happen now because of the deal that was reached.
Women still face major inequalities despite the growing number of them securing top jobs in the EU. That's according to Fine Gael MEP Frances Fitzgerald, who's been reacting to MEP's approval of Christine Lagarde as the next president of the European Central Bank. Despite advancements like that, she says women are still facing major obstacles.
The issue of violence against women, I thought many years ago that we would begin to deal with this, the domestic violence and coercive control, that as women gain more equality, these would be issues of the past. But they're very much issues of today, and we have to work very hard to deal with the ongoing challenges. And a number of women at the top doesn't actually mean that there's a mass of women in decision-making positions, but they're very important role models, and it's very good to see.
And one of the country's biggest fuel companies says we can expect petrol price rises starting this weekend. It's after the bombing of oil refineries in Saudi Arabia drove up the price of crude. That's it for now. All news updates are on our website. That's newstalk.com.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to the AA, you can find our lowest car insurance price online, guaranteed.
Rain becoming widespread this evening, heavy in places with highs of 17 to 21 degrees. Now you're up to date on News Talk.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Juff and Heskey.
Since who and who? Heskey and who?
Juff. El Hadj
Juff and Heskey. I remember
it's ironic, John.
Dion Fanning had a great line about Heskey. He said he's pioneered the role of the non-scoring centre forward. And I was like...
Well, Declan Lynch continued that on, I think, last week in one of his articles.
Oh, he made that point, but Mick McCarthy picked
Why would we not play a 17-year-old who mightn't score when we know we have 27-year-olds who definitely won't score?
I thought he was kind of on the button with that.
It's funny that we have also spoken about a Judy Kerr issue with Troy Parrott as well, just in the context, not to go back to the Evan Ferguson one, but like there was obviously grades and levels and anyway, let's move on to something else.
You're welcome back anyways. 53106 the text number, at Off the Ball on Twitter. We're live on all our social channels. Dan and Johnny in studio as always. Not always, sometimes, but I just say as always, and people think we're here and then they don't notice, when we're not. Stephen Elliott is on the line as well. The second half is just underway in the Premier League. Manchester City 5-0 up against Watford. Sheffield United 1-0 up away against Everton, and Burnley 2-0 up against Norwich. We'll talk a bit more about Everton maybe as that game continues, because if they lose that, you really feel that some pressure is going to start coming on Marco Silva again very, very quickly as City score their 6th goal
The
of
race
the game,
for 10.
and it is Bernardo Silva, and we're very much now wondering, will we get the first side ever to score 10 goals in a Premier League game?
Is there a song we can put on for that if it gets to 10?
We'll have a think about it.
No
between
prize,
now and
though,
then.
obviously. You don't need a
no
prize.
No, a song. You want to mark the occasion with a musical treat.
Of some description.
Okay, we'll have a think about it.
Any
Not
suggestions?
that exciting, but fair enough.
Do you think it'll happen, Nathan?
That they'll get to 10?
Yeah.
Yes.
It'll be, in terms
Really?
of...
Oh, you think so?
I think so, yeah.
I think the teams tend to switch off.
I think, Dan, I think they're going to be motivated by trying to get to 10 if it hasn't been done. They must be aware of this. Like,
It should be in their ear.
But Watford aren't complete chumps, you know. I think that
They're 6-0 down.
Okay.
They have a full half to do it.
Doesn't look good right at this point.
It doesn't look good. Got to be honest. It's not looking great for Leicester.
Pretty good at injury time
now.
against Arsenal last week, you know.
That's true.
But yeah. Okay.
Earlier, Leicester beat Spurs by 2-1. Newcastle against Brighton is the late game. And speaking of Brighton, the Republic of Ireland international Shane Duffy is among those helping to promote the Irish Blood Transfusion Service latest drive for donations. 1 in 4 of us will require a blood donation at some point in our lives. Back in 2010, Shane suffered a near fatal injury in a training match. We were over in Brighton recently to talk to him about it. You can watch the full interview on offtheball.com or on our YouTube channel. He talks about the amount of blood he lost and very much his support for donating blood. But we obviously chatted while we were over there about his entire career, including his first competitive start for the Republic of Ireland, which was that night in Lille. Worth the wait, though, when you make your first competitive start, and it's one of the greatest nights in the history of Irish football.
That's Martin P. Just throw it in there, go on, and
Was this one of those which we've heard a lot of over the last while? An hour beforehand, he names the team, and you're suddenly in.
Honestly, I went to the Euros just to go and enjoy it. I'm probably not going to play a minute here, but just to take it all in. And so obviously the first game went really well, and should have won it really. But the second game against Belgium, we had about a nightmare really. So but never in my head that I thought, oh, I'm going to be playing here. So I thought, if he's going to make a change, it's going to be one of them. And I'm obviously fourth choice here. So
it was John O'Shea and Kieran Clark were in, and Richard Keogh was obviously there as well.
And he obviously played a huge part in the qualification as well. So I was thinking, and then.
So are your family in Lille that night? If they're not expecting, are you?
They went the whole thing anyway. They're just Ireland fans anyway.
Right.
So if I weren't there, we probably would have went anyway. So
is it on the bus on the way you find that, or is it in the dressing room?
We in the dressing room, literally. So
have you ever had that with any other manager?
No. And obviously, it was probably the best thing that ever could happen, man, to be honest, because I didn't have time to think.
Did you have time to WhatsApp your dad and say?
No, he didn't know until the team sheet was right.
He's there singing along to the anthem, looking down at the pitch.
No, obviously he got the team news, and then so my mum was like, he's playing. And so we got to the stadium, so obviously we go out to the pitch first and have a look. So we still don't know the team around then. Come back in, and it gets everyone together and just names it, and then I was like, did he say me? And everyone was coming up to me, and I was like, come on. I was like, all right. So then it was like an hour, so we were out in like 40 minutes for a warm-up. I was like, oh. And that was it. And then it was one of the best nights of my life, really. So
it obviously worked that night, and I think people listen to it still though and thinking, particularly in modern day football, where you're so well drilled in. You look at the training facilities you have here at Brighton, and nothing is left to chance. There's no second guessing at all. That a manager would still name a team an hour beforehand. Like, how do you, as a defensive partnership, if you haven't had 3 or 4 days to think about this, how do you know who's going to pick up who?
Yeah, it's obviously players aren't stupid as well. Like, obviously the manager likes certain players. Probably in the Ireland team for the Euros, you probably knew eight or nine probably starters. It was just some, but so they sort of knew their roles through the qualification. But we worked on it. But so like we were doing it. If we worked on set pieces, everyone would do it, so everyone would be ready. And I think that was just Martin's way of keeping everyone ready. Because obviously some players maybe get the huff or not happy about playing, so they sort of switch off. And if they do come on, they switched off. And that was his way of keeping everyone on their toes. And so if we were doing set pieces, everyone would know the right drill and right way to go. And if you didn't, he probably wouldn't play again. So yeah.
Yeah, that is Shane Duffy there from a lengthy interview we did with him over the last couple of weeks with thanks to the Irish Blood Transfusion Service. Check out giveblood.ie for more information on how you get involved. I will never be okay with Martin O'Neill naming the team an hour beforehand. But Shane Duffy's making his first competitive start in the European Championship and he's in the dressing room, doesn't really even hear his name being called out because he assumes he's only going to make one change at centre back and the other players are basically telling him, oh no, you're in.
I could never get my head around that. I don't know if it was from the Cloughy days or what.
It's the kind of thing that I think there's probably, and like Stephen can come in, there's probably times where it might benefit people to have no prep, but I mean, if it's every game, then it loses its impact over time. I can understand for maybe a particular game where you think that's a strategy to mix things up. Let's just spring the wild card. But when it's sort of a consistent theme across an entire group, it probably loses its surprise element and becomes more of a pain in the arse.
I remember when I was a kid, and the way we used to be picked for under 13 or whatever was, the manager would get the bag of jerseys, he'd pick up the jersey and just throw it at you. Yeah. And you'd be like,
please be a 1 to 11.
And then it was like 14 or something. It's like, and he just lash it at you with no consideration for whether you were playing or not. And then there was that joy if you were playing where you didn't expect to be playing. But I don't think Martin O'Neill should have been doing it for the Irish.
I like the idea of all the jerseys in the dressing room and Dick Redmond or someone just tossing them in the direction.
Well, it sounds like it was nearly that.
Yeah.
Stephen, were you a fan of the team naming an hour before kickoff?
No, definitely not. But obviously, going back to listening to Shane there speak, maybe on that occasion it wasn't the worst thing to happen because he didn't really, like you said, he didn't have much time to think about potential things that could go wrong. Like, not that you would think in a negative mindset, but sometimes it's nice just to be kind of go out there and you go out and play a game. But in general, yeah, I think especially international football, I think I've been saying this before, you have the team on for such little time. You got to do as much as you can in that short space of time to kind of get your team organised, and obviously that was Martin's way. And listen, you can't forget over the years Martin was successful with that when he was with Leicester and obviously Celtic, but for me it's a little bit different on an international level where you've only kind of got the players for a couple of days before some games, and I think as well, no disrespect to the Ireland squad, I think the players he had at Celtic in the league they were playing, they were probably a lot better players than the teams he was coming up against, and they would probably know their roles a little bit better. But I wouldn't be a fan of it. I remember when I went on loan to Norwich City, when I was at Preston, I went on loan there for 3 months, and Paul Lambert was the manager, and he's took this from Martin O'Neill. He done the exact same thing. You never knew the team when you walked into the dressing room just before the warm up, and he'd call the second names out really quick, and you'd be hanging there thinking, was my name called? It was, and then the assistant manager would have to come in and explain to everybody if they were playing or not. So I think everybody knows that was Martin's style, and listen, he had his success with it, but eventually it got people up the wrong way, I think, in the international setup, and I think it's time probably to kind of stop potentially talking about that now. Probably
there must be so much emphasis on opposition analysis now that I just can't see how that would work if you didn't really know who was playing.
Yeah, well, like Shane even mentioned there, players aren't stupid, and like you kind of always, we all knew kind of, even under Martin's kind of reign, we knew majority of the time, guaranteed probably 8-9 players that would definitely be playing in the game, and I think you'd know as well if you're in that national squad, you'd know if you're kind of potentially going to come in who you'd probably play for, and you'd have a fair idea in the position you're playing. So, not on defending Martin O'Neill, the players would be they're playing at that level for a reason, so they know the game and they know where they need to be. But again, I still think that kind of on the training ground, and you walk through, you shadow play, you walk through, especially in international football. I remember when I played, like, that was one thing. I'll go back to Brian Kerr, even all through the U team levels, he was very kind of meticulous about players that you're playing against, video analysis, and like, it was good to know who you're up against and their strengths and weaknesses, because, as I said, you can be a little bit more prepared. And I say every manager's different, and wherever works for one manager may not work for the other, and that's the beauty of kind of football. Everybody has the different styles, and you kind of put them all together and see who comes out on top.
We have spoken to lots of former Celtic and Leicester players who all obviously rave about the way that Martin O'Neill, and laugh and tell great stories of being in the dressing room and, again, not being quite sure and trying to figure out why there was 5 centre-backs starting. But you do just even think back to your 2016 and Shane Duffy. So it works that night, but then 4 days later they go out against France, and Duffy and Keogh look like they'd never met each other before, where Duffy is running across in front of Keogh trying to win balls that he has no business winning. Like, maybe it is just a mistake that happens otherwise, or maybe if you're incredibly well drilled, and you know what's happening, that doesn't happen. But
there'd also be a theory now as well that, and I don't know again, that like a lot of the younger players coming through now are actually used to being coached like to the nth degree, in a very detailed manner. And maybe it's not as easy for them to do things off the cuff as it might have been at a particular, maybe a generation ago. So now actually sometimes players would be feeling that they might be lost without those instructions, that they actually rely on these instructions, so it doesn't actually suit them to be thrown into an environment where all of a sudden they haven't worked on it. And I think maybe O'Neill would have been someone who was a very good player and would almost trust players to sort things out. That would have been his view. But maybe certain types of players just...
Well, particularly nowadays where they've come through a very structured academy system where it's very hands-on. There's not so much the creative freedom to go and do what you want. Like you do look at an awful lot of these Irish players, and like the likes of Jeff Hendrick, you feel needs a lot of coaching, wants to be told exactly what to do. Whereas Martin O'Neill's looking at him and go, you've got a bit of talent, lad. Go out and show it.
I think the 21s, in fairness, if you do watch them, I think Stephen Kenny must be...
They're doing well.
Must be...
They're doing well.
He must be saying to the players, though, kind of, there's a big freedom there to express themselves when you have situations like Kelleher's trying to do impressions of Alisson on the ball. And
I almost wonder, is it the flip of that? So you're saying there's a freedom to do expression.
Yeah.
I almost feel it's a demand of them that they express themselves, rather than a freedom that Stephen Kenny is demanding of those 21s that they do.
Like, if everything is really rigid, like, so they scored against Sweden from a set piece, for one thing, but they did miss a penalty, and they had to kind of rally from within to say, well, this is kind of going against us. They had a goal disallowed as well, and they could have started feeling sorry for themselves. But there has to be, I think, like the Dundalk team as well, the transition of Stephen Kenny to Vinnie Perth, I'm not sure there's been an awful difference there, but I think the players themselves, they kind of have responsibility for what's going on in the dressing room and on the pitch, and they're able to make, and I think if you are a coach, it's important to be able to sign players that are intelligent enough to react to game situations without having to be told, because the coach can't, there's only so much the coach can do. So, like, I think the likes of Stephen O'Donnell, he would have been able to kind of to galvanise the Dundalk players and say, listen, this game is going a certain way, but like an intelligent player is a good asset here that he can change and you can do stuff off the cuff, because I think
but I think the point, sorry to cut across you, is that there are club players that work together all the time.
Yeah.
And then the point I think that Stephen made earlier, that with international players who've got 3 days, they're never going to be able to build that understanding.
But Dan, I'm just saying that, going back to Shane Duffy, I think you have to look at the performance of him and Richard Keogh over the past few games, and they've obviously built up a relationship together. And I'd go, Shane Duffy for me is such an important player for us now at the moment. His performance levels have been like, I think they're even higher for us than what they are for Brighton, and he's somebody that I think he's probably bordering on being the most important kind of player in our team at the moment, because it just seems every time somebody attacks us now, he's there clearing the ball, whether it's with his head or last ditch tackle. And I don't know, for me it's like he's become our real leader on the pitch, and alongside Richard Keogh, has done really well. And you only have to look at John Egan there, who's come in and he's done well in the Premier League, and he can't really get anywhere near the starting lineup internationally. And that's all about kind of building up relationships, which him and Shane Duffy and Richard Keogh have done, and Mick will be very aware of that. And I know a lot of people are saying Egan's playing the Premier League, Richard Keogh's playing the Championship, but he's built that relationship with Duffy, and I'd be happy enough to see them continue on, because I think they really look rock solid at the moment.
7-0 to Manchester City, a hat-trick for Bernardo Silva, and we've just hit the hour mark at the Etihad Stadium.
Every 10 minutes they'll do them now.
Exactly.
I think it's going to happen.
We need to get our song.
We got that music sorted.
we haven't got the music sorted. Let's get a few messages in. Send us in what people are... There is a text in saying, this is from Joe and Kerry, Duffy didn't slate Martin O'Neill in his interview, so no doubt Off the Ball won't promote this interview too much. Doesn't fit in with their anti-O'Neill agenda. He was very complimentary about Martin O'Neill and about Roy Keane. Very much enjoyed working with both of them. Roy Keane told it like it is. He appreciated that.
There you go.
We're going to get a lot more of Roy Keane telling it like it is. He obviously enjoyed his recent exposure and his most recent interview so much that he has signed a contract with Sky Sports to join their regular punditry team.
I saw that.
Not just a one-off appearance.
Him and Neville together.
Don't see what could possibly go wrong.
Over a long period of time. What could happen there?
What could happen there?
Nathan and Joe at the helm.
Maybe Royal request,
bring those guys back.
The guys who bring the best out of me.
Yeah.
Bring those guys back.
Bring those performers in.
How do you find him though? Like, is he actually good to analyse a game, or is it more kind of sound bites coming out of him? Because
sound bites.
Yeah,
it's showbiz.
But
you need a bit of showbiz.
RTE just ditched Joe Raleigh kind of for that reason.
Yeah, they shouldn't have.
They shouldn't have.
Absolutely not.
Listen, I think that's a great getting Roy in for Sky is unbelievable work by them, because as you guys know, Roy says things that he knows people are going to talk about, and he'll go back and he'll be seeing everybody's reactions to that interview, and he pretend he won't be bothered, but he doesn't let anything drop, and I wouldn't be surprised if that interview has been the reason why he's probably gone and done this. He thought, you know what, this is great, I'm going to go in for more.
Get a commission.
Thanks, Nathan and Joe.
There must be a commission in you for that.
I understand where you're coming from in regards to Roy Keane and sound bites and analysis, but it's not like he's replacing an analyst somebody's blowing us away with this in-depth tactical breakdown of what Liverpool and Chelsea are going to do. And also, Sky, in fairness, have Monday Night Football, which is brilliant.
He's not going to be on Monday Night Football.
He's not going to be on Monday Night Football, you'd imagine.
No, Roy's very entertaining.
He's a half-time, full-time sort of guy. But I mean, the one thing about your interview that night, and I made the point in the piece after, it
was brilliant. Thanks, Dan.
Absolutely. Top drawer. But there was points away from the Hollywood lines where he actually, it was quite sad almost in a way, where he spoke about how, well, I don't get linked with jobs anymore. People don't link me with jobs. And as much as he spoke about the sincerity of wanting to go back into the game, has there been that realisation, I wonder, because that time he still had that sort of reticence about committing to being a pundit, and now obviously, listen, I'm sure there's a good deal that can, like anyone, he will listen to a good deal, but is it a point of realising, well, actually maybe this offer just isn't going to come my way this season, and he's getting to the stage,
he needs to put himself front and centre.
He left Ipswich, is it January 2011, or certainly it's around that, so when is the last time he picked a team? And it's getting to the stage now where, how much longer does he do as a pundit before it's not viable that he goes back to? He'll always have some kind of offer, some class of offer, but to actually get back
to some class of offer is the crux of it.
I'm sure he's got loads of offers, but I'm sure it's from probably he had offers from Turkey before, and I'm sure he's had offers, but where he wants to be, no.
I think though in his contract saying if somebody comes in, whether he'd be able to kind of just
Well, maybe it did.
Sorry, I'll wait and see how often he's actually going to be on Sky Sports. Certainly, what he was saying that night in the Burgosh Theatre was that, I'll do some punditry, gets me to good matches, so he goes to Chelsea.
They described him as full time now.
But that's what, is he going to be there every single Sunday alongside?
I think they mentioned he was doing the double header this week and stuff, was it?
Crossbar for Manchester City. Let's hear about their 7th goal. City against Watford. Dan Stanich.
City 7, Watford 0, and a hat-trick from Bernardo Silva. Kevin De Bruyne put it on a plate for him, in it came. He had to have 2 bites at it really. His first shot was poor, but he got a second chance and he slotted it home. City 7, Watford 0.
Song suggestions are pretty dire, to be honest. Hey lads, how about 10 green bottles? Perfect 10 by the beautiful South.
That's not bad.
You could capture Watford's mood and play 10 things I hate about you. Listen, you've got an ad break to improve on that.
Football on Off the Ball
with Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Shearer and Owen.
Tech Talk with Jess Kelly.
Coming up this week, we'll explore the world of entrepreneurial innovation within the agri-tech sector. I'll be joined by a panel of experts to discuss getting started, growing your business and being Brexit ready.
Tech Talk with Jess Kelly.
Download the podcast now or tune in this evening at 5.
On News Talk.
Exciting afternoons with Harvey Norman. Bring the cinema home with an ultra-high-definition smart TV and surround sound from Harvey Norman. The cinema experience with no queues and no trailers.
Go, Harvey, go!
Ever wondered where standards come from? If you're involved in innovation, you probably have. And the simple answer is, they're developed by people like you. NSAI is the National Standards Authority of Ireland. When we're developing a new standard or updating an existing one, your expertise is invaluable. So you can help influence the direction of your industry and be among the first to hear about new developments. If you'd like to participate, visit nsai.ie today or call 01 807 3800. That's 01 807 3800.
You're a business owner, a decision maker, and a big thinker. You're the brains behind the business, but you're getting tied down by red tape, regulation, and legal jargon. It's time to find a CPA. A certified public accountant will give you direction on your road to success, so you can spend less time ticking boxes and more time thinking outside them. 100,000 businesses across Ireland trust a CPA with their finances. Visit cpaireland.ie and find a CPA to take your business anywhere.
Happy retirement, Maura.
Actually, I'll be retiring next. What if I take out my pension fund in one lump sum? Or put it into something smart?
And you're sure this horse is a winner?
Oh, yeah. Or maybe I should talk to someone about this.
If you're thinking about retiring, you've some important financial decisions to make. So no matter who your pension is with, ask your financial broker or advisor about retirement planning with Irish Life. A smart way to make the most of what you have and fully embrace your retirement. We know Irish Life. We are Irish Life. Irish Life Assurance plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
EirGrid manages and develops the national electricity grid. You could say it's the heartbeat of Ireland, keeping our country's energy flowing from head to toe across the land, so that everyone has power when and where they need it. Because no matter who your electricity supplier is, it's the power of the grid that keeps our farms and businesses running and our homes warm and bright, now and into the future, without missing a beat. EirGrid, the current, the future.
The Sport Ireland campus Blanchardstown is the home of Irish sport, not just for our athletes but for you in the community. Check out our amazing offers for families with kids camps, sport academies and birthday parties. Or for adults, why not join our gym with a 50-metre pool? Or your club, school, friends can book one of our world-class indoor or outdoor facilities, including our athletics track, soccer, basketball or badminton courts and many more. Check us out on sportirelandcampus.ie.
There are used cars and then there are Renault Selection used cars. Each one comes with a certified history check. Check. The only used car programme with flexible PCP payment options, like the Renault Clio from only €29 per week. Check. As well as 2 years warranty and roadside assistance. Check and check. Renault Selection, a new standard for used cars. Visit your local Renault dealer today. Finance is made under a hire purchase agreement. Terms and conditions apply. Deposit required. Payment is drawn monthly, subject to lending criteria. See Renault.ie.
Bruce Betting, one of Ireland's leading bookmakers. With best odds guaranteed on UK and Irish horse racing, Bruce Betting has you covered. And with the Bruce Betting app, we're always giving you more. T's and C's apply. Bruce Betting. In-store, online and now on your phone. Over 18s. Please gamble responsibly. See dunlewy.net.
Guilt. I found my 15-year-old daughter's cigarettes. I didn't do anything about it. Didn't even talk to her about it. I just left them on the desk in her bedroom, so she'd know I know. Sure, how can I talk to her about smoking when they've got such a hold on my life?
What are you waiting to feel before you quit? Ireland now has more quitters than smokers, and with the right support, you're twice as likely to join them. Visit quit.ie today from the HSE.
Get into Carphone Warehouse now and save up to €400 with our unmissable weekend mega deal. Get the Huawei P30 for free or the Huawei P30 Pro for only $99.99. Both come with a free Huawei Smart Fitness Band for free. Yes, free! Both are available on a €40 a month plan when you switch to Vodafone, Ireland's award-winning mobile network. Now with more data than ever. Any network, any phone, any plan. Only Carphone Warehouse. T's and C's apply. Offer subject to availability and 24-month contract.
Rugby season is back and Lifestyle Sports is giving you the chance to win something very special.
The ultimate rugby year for you and 3 mates.
You could be headed to the Champions Cup final,
the Pro 14 final,
interprovincial games of your choice,
and get match day ready with kit bags full of jerseys,
new season training gear,
€400 in vouchers and more.
Check out lifestylesports.com.
Lifestyle Sports Rugby on Insta,
or buy any jersey in store or online for a chance to win.
Live rugby with Lifestyle Sports.
Football on Off the Ball
with Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Duff and Heskey.
Now West Ham are on the attack. Yarmolenko coming into the right side of the penalty area. Onto his left foot. Yarmolenko trying to make space for the shot, which, he did exactly that. That's a fantastic goal. Curled it beyond the outstretched Jordan Pickford into the far corner of the net. His first goal was a team goal. That's a piece of individual brilliance from the Ukrainian striker.
Rashford on the edge of the area, gets the shot off and scores! 2 goals in as many minutes. And Old Trafford goes absolutely wild. And United are absolutely bouncing right now.
He's caught in the edges area. Mount with a chance. And Mount with the goal.
Brilliant.
Mason Mount, the 20-year-old midfielder, with his first goal in the Premier League, makes it Chelsea 1, Leicester 0, 6 minutes on the clock.
He knows what it means. Salah takes the shot. Oh, Mo Salah with one of the goals of the season. 25 yards out, smashes a shot into the top corner of the net, and Liverpool are going back on top of the Premier League, and Mo Salah is back to his very, very best.
Yeah, so that is tomorrow's doubleheader here on Off the Ball. Chelsea against Liverpool. That Mo Salah goal was at Anfield for
great commentary there, wasn't
Chelsea. Fantastic.
You actually said that off air. It was some of my best work there.
Thanks for playing that again, lads. Just keep that going.
Could be a battering goal.
That's his alarm call.
So we've Chelsea, Liverpool at 4:30. Myself and Brian Cairn. Before that, we've West Ham, Manchester United with Gary Breen and Stephen Doyle. It's one of those. It's so obvious to say it could be a battering because the way Chelsea set up, you would imagine Liverpool are going to get in behind them so often. You'd imagine Frank Lampard, and Stephen, I'm interested in what you think he's going to do, is so aware that it could be a battering. Like, does Lampard go ultra defensive tomorrow? Like, does he learn something from all his years with Jose Mourinho of how to approach a game like this?
I think he's got to do something a little bit differently, because I think if you go at Liverpool with the pace they've got up front with them front three, I think they'll cut you wide, they'll cut you open at ears every time. Mane this season is just, he's unplayable, and obviously Salah,
except for the other night against Napoli.
Yeah, well, obviously bar that game, but in the Premier League I'm talking, he's been unplayable this year, and it's going to be. I don't think, I can't see anything other than Liverpool winning the game comfortably, but you just never know in football. Lampard, will he set up, will he park the bus, so to speak, Mourinho style, or will he kind of stick and just tell the young lads to go out and kind of express themselves against a top quality team? I don't know. You got to be looking. He's got to want to be thinking, I need to get a result here. We're at home to kind of. It's a good game for him to kind of make a bit of a statement himself as a manager as well. I think with Liverpool come to town, everybody's talking about. Nobody's probably going to give Chelsea much of a chance, but I think he's got to do something a little bit different than just kind of go out there and tell us. But he's got to maybe throw an extra midfielder in there or something, just to try and kind of stagnate Liverpool's attack. Because I think, as I said, if they play a wide open game, there's only one result for me.
Our football coverage brought to you with thanks to Paddy Power. For information on responsible gambling, visit dunlewy.net. Manchester City still leading Watford by 7-0. 15 minutes left for them to get 3 more goals. 10-story love song by Stone Roses would be perfect.
That actually
Manchester band. And that from Neil and Rathfarnham. Everton still 1-0 down at home in their game against Sheffield United. Let's see what's happening between Burnley and Norwich. Adam Drury.
Burnley 2, Norwich 0. Time is running out for the away side to find a breakthrough that would offer them a route back into this game, but in truth they've done not nearly enough to test Nick Pope in the Burnley goal. The Clarets aren't under pressure to attack with the same intensity as in the first half, but they're still creating chances to extend their lead. Chris Wood had a great chance to get a hat-trick from close range, but he could only poke the ball directly at Tim Krul. At Turf Moor it's still Burnley 2, Norwich 0.
In the Championship, Seanie Maguire's goal means that Preston are still 1-0 up against Birmingham City. Wigan now leading Charlton by 2-0. Sheffield Wednesday 1 down at home to Fulham. Blackburn 2-1 up away at Reading. Nottingham Forest leading Barnsley by 1-0. Queen's Park Rangers 2-1 up away against Millwall. Elsewhere, it is Hull 1, Luton 0, Cardiff 1-0 up against Middlesbrough. The other games are scoreless. Leeds and Derby drew 1-1 earlier today. The late game in the Premier League, by the way, is Newcastle against Brighton. We had a tweet in from Killian who says, Evan Ferguson has become Bowles' very own Greta Thunberg, with all these pesky grown-ups on Twitter who know what's best for him.
Yeah, it's not bad, yeah.
Not a bad comparison. So Dan, as we mentioned, has been doing some proper journalism. Very impressive, Dan, and has answered some questions I think that Johnny has been asking. Was this a personal pet project just to shut him up?
No.
As to how much money is actually invested into the League of Ireland. How much money are the FAI earning through sponsorship, through commercial deals, through TV revenue for the League of Ireland? Because it seems everybody's been completely in the dark around this. So when we're talking about where money should come from for the league and promoting the league, nobody ever knows how much money is actually available.
Yeah, the context for this is that there's been talks over the last couple of years about, well, what happens after 2020? Will the clubs, say, take control of the league, take over the running of the league? There's obviously the Kieran Lucid cross-border league idea as well. But you know, in order for clubs and people to take on the responsibility maybe of driving forward, they actually need to be aware of what the state of play is financially at the moment. And for a number of years, there's been a bit of a back and forth between the FAI and the clubs, to the point where the clubs at one point essentially have to hire a barrister to go and represent them in discussions to see could they get some details of the figures, like how much are the title sponsors paying is there TV money? If so, how much? How much is it costing to run the league? Because clubs would have received like a lot of fines and stuff like that, and they're thinking, well, what does this add up to? And how does it all square off? I mean, is the FAI making a lot of money from the league? Is the league costing the FAI a lot of money? And there would have been a sort of a bit of a claim and a counter claim, and suspicions probably on about what the scenario was. So. Yeah, been something trying to find out over a period of time. There have been discussions about, like there was ongoing discussions about a decision made by the end of the year about structures and everything. And yeah, off the back of that, I've managed to find out basically what the story is.
So what is the figure?
Yeah, so I think they're probably, to people, they might seem a bit low. That ultimately at the moment, from sponsorship, and that would be like Electricity, EA Sports, and one or two other smaller ones with kit. There's around sort of €400,000 per year that the FAI is receiving, with Electricity providing the bulk of that. The problem is that a lot of the deals around the League of Ireland, they're not exclusively League of Ireland only deals. There's an international team element factored into it, which makes it slightly difficult to ascertain the value of the League of Ireland end of it, but there are ways and measures of doing that. And so that's why the feeling is the Electricity contribution, in terms of their rights contribution to the FAI, maybe around €250,000, that's where we're at. TV then, similarly, there would be an arrangement with RTE and Air Sport, but the RTE deal includes the rights for 2 senior international friendlies and the women's international games. So how much are RTE paying for 17 League of Ireland matches? Again, you're talking around the 250-300 grand mark. So all in,
is that is what you think the fee is for the League of Ireland side of it, not the international?
Yeah, the international, I think, would be a bit more on top of that. And so, I mean, again, like, it's not broken down specifically what the value of the internationals is, but this is what people now in discussions, these figures are being put out there. So the feeling is that between sponsorship and media rights, the league is generating around €800,000 per year. But the FAI would say that their costs would be prize money. It has to come out of that. There's also a lot of money.
€1 million in prize money.
Yeah, $500,000 in prize money. Match costs of around 400,000, which can include match delegates and referees, stuff back and forth. So there's information that the fines are around €70,000 per year.
Well, sorry, that's one of the pieces that's quite interesting. Like when we're talking, like $1.5 million, the total figure is pittance in terms of modern sport, but obviously in terms of League of Ireland is still a sizable chunk of money.
The point is the FAI is raising it receives around 1.5 million in income, but a third of that is actually coming from the clubs themselves through entry fees, contributions towards referee costs and fines. So that's sort of where we are at. Like, the clubs are actually quite significant contributors, so they get prize money back, but everything is almost cancelling itself out. And what it exposes to a degree is the lack of actual, top-down investment.
It's absolutely scandalous when you think about it. Like, if Dan's figure is accurate, which is roughly $250,000 from SC Electricity League, for the whole of the league per year in a very wealthy country in which this is the professional league of its most participated in sport, 250 grand over the course of a year, when clubs are basically scrimmaging and trying to cobble together money through lotto draws and all that. It's an absolute joke that you couldn't have 2 or 3 individuals who can say, listen, we'll go to a company here and we could easily come up with at least $1 million a year. There's a lot.
I don't think there's a feeling that $1 million a year is viable. I'm just saying that there are sort of experts helping out in this, and I think I've mentioned it in the piece today that the targets that they're working off actually, there's ambitious. I think it's broken down into like ambitious targets and conservative targets, and the ambitious targets would be, I think it's around 800,000 for maybe media rights actually, and 700,000 for sponsorship, and then obviously the conservative ones would be below that. So there is 2 ways of looking at the figures, Johnny. One, it's that the probably league has been well enough served in the deals that have been negotiated, and I think that that's probably a very fair point. But secondly, it also does ask questions about what the market value of the product is to prospective sponsors, and like, I can't imagine at the market rate that people would get it that badly wrong. That it would suggest that the brand itself hasn't been attractive enough to companies who feel that they need to be. Well, yeah, because there is also a point of, I think the
if you go down the street and you say, like, you say these ads that Lidl have for the ladies football, like, so laudable unbelievable. And Lidl have put in, like, I think it's over 7 figures a year. Now, that's a slightly different figure, obviously, because of what they're actually doing.
The
with that
term is
money.
called brand activation.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they call it. That it's what you do. Like, you see the Lidl ads everywhere.
So generally, I think the baseline would be most companies would expect to spend the initial output on earning the sponsorship
Securing
and then pay probably a similar amount again in activating it, and everybody being aware that SSE Electricity are sponsors of the league, the same way Lidl are involved.
Yeah. And the debate would be, of course, and have they done enough by tying it in with an international element? Well, that is the glamour stuff, but have you then lost like that focus of a title sponsor? And what this is about is deciding what happens going forward. What type of sponsor do you want? What calibre of sponsor do you want to go for? Do you need someone who's willing to commit a bigger bottom line, but secondly, you know, because it's not a bad deal to have your name associated with a product, but I don't want to make it all about electricity. That's actually not fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's actually not fair at all. It's about the overall debate of, well, I think clubs, would they have thought that the figures were bigger? It's possible that that's the case. And now they're making a decision about, well, can we run this ourselves? And like, here are the figures that exist now. Here are the targets you have to meet, that you have to hit to bring more money into the game.
It needs to be run by people who have the best interests of the League of Ireland at heart and who realise the potential of the League of Ireland, and not for it to be treated by like a complete nuisance that, to my mind, it has been treated by the FAI.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of other stuff as well. I mean, there's discussions about formats, and I'm not going to get into that because I mean, that's not really the point. About spreading it to new regions, to Kerry, Mayo, a few other places. They're being invited to talks that are coming up soon.
You'd interest stuff about like people from like maybe other parts that are interested in getting involved, and the media kind of potential for the league.
They definitely could do more, I think.
Also, it's a summer league, so like, just say for example Sky want to get involved, it fits their calendar where they've summer football on when there's no Premier League, just for argument's sake.
I think Sky, though, I think their deal in Northern Ireland, like they have a deal with Northern Ireland, it's not earth-shattering amounts of money. It's not. So I think the people are aware of those figures, and they're trying to do the sums with the cross-border league element. So like, I think people have to be realistic enough, but also there's creative options, and I think they could do more.
I want to very quickly go to Goodison Park, because there's been another goal between Everton and Sheffield United. Paul Anthony.
Well, Everton have been pushing for the equaliser, but unfortunately for them, the goal has gone the other way, and it's now Sheffield that have doubled their lead. It was a superb move out to the right-hand side, and Mousset took it round Jordan Pickford and slotted it into the bottom corner. Looks as though the game's up for Everton. It's Everton 0, Sheffield United 2.
I do like the way Paul Anthony calls them Sheffield. It's like, you know, it's unusual now. You'd never call Manchester United Manchester took the lead or anything like that.
Well, it'd be confusing because there's two teams in...
Not if they were playing somebody that there's two teams in
Manchester.
Sheffield as well.
There's been another goal involving Manchester. Let's hear about it. Darren Stanich.
Manchester City 8, Watford 0. Kevin De Bruyne getting himself in on the act, collected the ball outside the area, slowly made his way inside the box. Nobody closed him down, and with his right foot he fired one into the top corner. City 8, Watford 0.
Worth remembering that this is Manchester City scoring 8 goals with Raheem Sterling sat on the bench for the entire game. So it's been that type of day, and they still have 5 minutes to get another 2 goals. They're on the attack again, and it breaks down. Elsewhere, as we heard, Sheffield United 2-0 up against Everton, and Burnley still leading Norwich by 2-0. Stephen, like, talking about this, and this debate I imagine is going to keep on rumbling, a lot of it comes down to, I guess, the attractiveness to sponsorship of the League of Ireland and the product. Not so much the product, I think, on the pitch, that's certainly a part of it, and
facilities,
having
and all that, like.
facilities that, and also the constant, people laugh about in the hashtag greatest league in the world, all these things of this story this week about Limerick and players not getting covered. There's so much negative stories that, for all the good Jack Byrne does, while that negativity is there, trying to get big international brands on board is never going to be easy.
No, I think, like you mentioned there, when there's negative sides, so it's going to be for the likes of a big kind of, I don't know, you look at some of these big banks and people, the banks are supposedly doing well. Would they not be interested in kind of having a look at the League of Ireland? Like, because like you say, have your name associated with a product. Although it's not in a great state at the moment, it's still our professional league, and I'm a little bit like singing off the same hymn sheet of Johnny, like, where surely we can do a little bit more to kind of, these people that are kind of there to kind of do this, we can do a little bit more to kind of just get more money into the game. Like, surely people would be willing to give up. Like, there's a lot of wealthy businesses out there in Ireland, and surely they would be happy enough to put their name to something like this and be the first one to do it, to kind of make a start. And they're only going to get good kind of, I would say, good custom from this, good publicity. So it baffles me why nobody hasn't done this yet, whether it's the people that are organising aren't doing enough, or whether they've the wrong people in these jobs that only are in it to kind of look after themselves. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but it's frustrating because, as I said, we're not saying it's going to happen overnight, but there's definitely potential there to make it a lot better. And I just think it takes one big kind of sponsorship to go in and do it, and then maybe somebody else may look and go, do you know what they're doing, and we may go and copy them.
Just on that, the $250,000, if as a ballpark figure, is a laughably small amount of money to a proper company. It's like it's not even worth talking about for something as big as sponsoring professional football in this country. And if you speak about the image of the league rightly, but anyone with a brain would see that there's huge potential for a professional league in this country. Like, it's at such a low base at the moment with the quality of the young players coming through. There's so much of an upside to actually getting involved for very small money. You could be associated with the League of Ireland when it took this fairly big leap towards a proper league, and your name is associated with that brand, and it's not going to cost you a great deal of money. And you know, with the media potential there, this League of Ireland games by and large are very, very entertaining compared to what they used to be. Summer football has helped. The product to me isn't really a big issue. It's just, as you say, facilities. But you're getting in at such a low base that any company with a bit of common sense would say this is a punt worth taking if somebody was there to actually sell the league properly, which the FAI didn't.
But the problem is, a company that, say, if they decided to invest €500,000, would look around at Munster Rugby, at Leinster Rugby, and think, you know what, €500,000 gets you a very good sponsorship deal at Leinster Rugby as well. A safe bet.
Yeah, no, it's true, and as we mentioned, like, they may choose to spend that money in a different way, that it's not necessarily all going back into the game. You know what I mean? That it's so, like, there's a lot to consider with this, and I think this is why, like, you need to probably figure out what the brand actually is. What is the league trying to be? Like, what is the league trying to be? You know.
Sorry, I'm just saying, you just have to look. I know I'm talking about the international team. When we're doing well as an international team, like, the whole country, like, everybody gets engulfed in the national soccer team when they're in these big tournaments. The whole, like, from bloody Cork up to Dublin to Kerry to go, everybody gets engulfed when the team's doing well. So surely some of these companies are thinking, do you know what, this is the same sport. Why could we not go in and make this even better, potentially make us even better, like make this even a bigger worldwide kind of thing that people may see? And I know what Nathan says about obviously the rugby there, and we've got the GAA as well with decent sponsorship, but listen, all it takes is one big company to kind of give a bit of sponsorship, and all of a sudden somebody else may do it, and then it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, because it's not going to get bigger and better unless somebody invests, and ultimately that's it. No, it doesn't get better without money, so we need to get the money from somewhere.
Manchester City still leading by 8-0. They've scored more league goals already this season than Huddersfield did in all of last season. We need to take a quick break, and we'll run you through the full-time scores.
Football on Off the Ball
with Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Jeff and Heskey.
This weekend, News Talk is getting behind the Irish rugby team as they kickstart their campaign in Japan.
With thanks to Euronext Dublin, the new home of the Irish Stock Exchange.
International football is more exciting than ever.
Remember that first time on the terraces, where it all began. The heroes, the villains, the highs, the lows. All the while, you were learning. Now use that knowledge on Football Index. Join tens of thousands of fans trading the world's top players. Football Index. The game changed. App available. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly.
The 2019 Boyle Sports World Grand Prix Darts is back at the City West Convention Centre, Dublin, from the 6th to the 12th of October. See 32 of the biggest darting stars on the planet, including world number 1 Michael van Gerwen, former Grand Prix champion Darrell Gurney, plus fan favourite Peter Wright. Get your tickets now at ticketmaster.ie and search darts. The 2019 Boyle Sports World Grand Prix Darts at City West. Game on.
To celebrate the Rugby World Cup, Air's broadband sale kicks off now. With totally unlimited fibre broadband, plus you get the Air Sport Pack free. The home of the Rugby World Cup in Ireland. And it's on sale for an incredible $29.99 a month for 6 months. Call 1-800-500-300, go in store or visit air.ie. Air. Let's make possible. New customers only, $59.99 a month thereafter. 12-month contract, subject to availability. Air Sport Pack channels subject to change. Use of experience may vary. For full details and terms, see air.ie.
That's the sound of Emma cooking up a storm with her new Zanussi oven and hob pack that she got in Harvey Norman. She bought it at the great price of €429, saving her €25. Emma's Zanussi oven and hob pack was delivered and installed using Harvey Norman's great installation service. And her old appliances were taken away free of charge. Don't forget, at Harvey Norman, we'll match all competitors' prices on home appliances. So why shop anywhere else?
Go! Anne had been training hard for months, 7K most evenings in all weathers, along familiar tree-lined roads.
Only for that wind to be close to my fastest time ever. Just what I need, a fallen tree. Okay, climb over, keep moving.
Always ask yourself the question,
are you sure it's safe?
Never approach fallen wires. Stay safe, stay clear of electricity wires. For emergencies, call 1850 372 999. ESB Networks, serving all electricity customers.
Let's talk about your retirement number, not the age you'll retire. Let's talk about the number that will give you real financial confidence. At Davy, we know that everyone's number is different. It's personal to you. That's why we don't do one-size-fits-all pension plans. In fact, we take a personal approach to all our financial life planning and investment services. To help you find your retirement number and then make it work, call us today or search Davy Retirement. Davy, it's not just business, it's personal. J&E Davy, trading as Davy, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. We take our responsibilities personally.
Is there an easy way to go green and save some money too? In this week's Sunday Independent, don't miss the Little Green Book with 50 smart eco ways to reshape your home and garden. In Property, get our guide to new homes with tips for first-time buyers, how to boost your mortgage chances, and what to look for if you're downsizing. Plus, the inside story of the investigation into the murder of Rachel O'Reilly and Maeve Sheehan on Quinn Country. The Sunday Independent, the complete read.
At Centra, we have great offers in store, like Fairy Non-Bio Powder 40 wash only €7, Cadbury Selected 4 and 5 packs and Block Bar Selected Range 80 to 160 gram, any 3 for €3. And our mega deal until Sunday, Campo Viejo Tempranillo or Faustino 7 wine, only €8 each. Centra, live every day. Enjoy cost sensibly.
Mullen Lighting have had more than their fair share of light bulb moments. And as manufacturers of bespoke lighting, the decision to move into the Eurozone was one of their most important. As was partnering with Enterprise Ireland. A comprehensive 5-step plan and extensive supports helped make France one of their most successful markets. As Brexit approaches, take the step into new markets with Enterprise Ireland. Visit globalambition.ie/steps. If you have the ambition, we'll help you take it global. An initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Are you looking for a new used car? Look no further. At carnext.com, we select only high-quality used cars, younger than 5 years old, selected and perfected, so you can enjoy any car, anytime, anywhere. At carnext.com.
Football on Off the Ball
with Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Shearer and Owen.
Full-time whistle has gone at the Etihad Stadium and Manchester City have let us down. Let's get the full-time score. City against Watford, Darren Stanich.
City 8, Watford 0, a highest ever Premier League score for Manchester City. They scored 5 goals in the opening 20 minutes. David Silva set the tone. Aguero fired home a penalty. Maris hit home a deflected free kick. Bernardo Silva nodded home the 4th and Otamendi the 5th. After the break, more of the same. Bernardo Silva scored twice to get his hat-trick. And with 8 minutes to play, Kevin De Bruyne in on the act, collecting the ball and firing into the top corner. Manchester City 8, Watford 0.
That is 24 goals for Manchester City in their opening 6 games of the season.
Disappointing. I think if a team's going to get to 10, they need to like strike late on when someone's completely demoralised. I think striking early, give Watford a chance to regroup.
5 up after 17 minutes. 8 is.
Give Watford a bit of chance to regroup. I think, no, you want to get them, like that Bowes UCD, it's late in the game, they can see the 90 minutes and just like, oh, just get us out of here.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
They were obviously beaten last weekend, Stephen, by Norwich in this massive shock. They're back within 2 points of Liverpool everything rosy again with City, or do you still think with the defensive injuries that they might have some problems?
Nah, they're obviously gonna miss the injuries they have at the back, but with Fernandinho, you've got somebody that can kind of go in there and do a decent job. And like we mentioned there, Raheem Sterling was on the bench there today, and he still managed to score 8 goals, and he's arguably been the best Premier League player so far this season. So it just shows you, although there's a so-called mini crisis at City, they still have an abundance of quality, and they're not going away from this Premier League title quietly, that's for sure. And there's a long way to go. There is, Nathan. I think Liverpool, they've got a 5-point gap, and can Liverpool sustain this kind of winning games every week against every team? I'm not too sure. I for me, still think Man City over the course of the season will win the league.
I have a feeling Leicester could have a big part to play when, like, Liverpool have struggled a bit against them in recent years. I could see that Liverpool will steamroll most teams this year. Basically, 3/4 of the games they'll probably win fairly comfortably. But the Leicester game could be key in the whole Brendan Rodgers narrative as well. But De Bruyne are completely off the charts today. The more I'm reading on social media, and it's going to be a great title race.
And they play in 2 weeks' time, Liverpool and Leicester.
Leicester at home
on a Saturday afternoon, Johnny.
Johnny probably won't be here.
Is that an Anfield?
It is at Anfield, yeah. And then they play on St Stephen's Day at Leicester.
Or Boxing Day.
So whichever one you want to go with yourself, that's fine. The other games just wrapping up as well. Everton beaten at home 2-0 by Sheffield United. Let's get the full time from that game from Paul Anthony.
Everton 0, Sheffield United 2. Everton will be wondering how they didn't win this game at a canter. In the first half, they had numerous chances to put the game out of reach of the visitors, but against the run of play, it was Sheffield United who took the lead when Yeremina deflected Oliver Norwood's corner into his own goal 4 minutes before the break. In the second half, the home team pushed for the equaliser. They almost got it when Tucson found himself 1-on-1 with Henderson in the Sheffield goal, but his shot went wide, and minutes later, the visitors doubled the lead. Mousset on as a sub, took the ball round Pickford before slotting into an empty net. First win for the season as Sheffield United here at Goodison Park. It finished Everton 0, Sheffield United 2.
Joe Bloggs on Twitter says, is it any surprise that how Everton are doing? They're very poor quality-wise. Seamus Coleman is their captain, and he's very average. Not a popular opinion in Ireland, but when I saw him leading them out against Bournemouth, I just couldn't help but wonder.
I think it's a bit harsh to pick out on the captain. They don't give the captaincy to your best player. It's not school.
Damien Delaney's career has fairly taken off since he joined the Off the Ball team on Saturdays. There he is on TV. Just absolutely.
He should be here with us.
Yeah, he's not.
Anyways, let's get the final full time. Burnley against Norwich. Adam Drury.
Burnley strolled to a 2-0 win over a Norwich side who was served a cold dose of reality. Chris Wood opened the scoring with a near-post header 10 minutes in, and just 4 minutes later, Wood fired in a second from close range. From there, the Clarets expertly managed the game at the back and truly nerfed the expansive football of Norwich to secure their first win since the opening day of the season, while simultaneously knocking the Canaries from their perch. Full-time at Turf Moor, it finished Burnley 2, Norwich 0.
Double header and Off the Ball tomorrow. West Ham against Manchester United from 2, and then Chelsea against Liverpool from 4:30. But we'll obviously also be all across Ireland against Scotland in the rugby. We're on air from 1 o'clock. Andy Dunn is going to be in studio, and Neil Tracy will have the Off the Ball Rugby World Cup show right on the full-time whistle with James Downey. Offtheball.com is the place to be throughout the evening to keep up to date with everything that's happening. Lads, thanks a lot as always. We shall talk to you next week.
Thanks,
possibly.
Nish.
We'll talk to you tomorrow at 1. Good luck.
Give him a ball and he out of grass. He'll give you a move for the perfect pass. Give him a ball and he out of space.